Chapter 421. The pill that best represents alchemy achievements. Zhang Li was rather disappointed that his sneaky approach didn't fool the keen-eyed elder alchemists. They immediately detected his attempt to cheat. After weighing everyone's opinions, the sixth prince announced, Su Wei wins the second round. That's not really cheating, you know. I mean, I did spend quite a bit of spirit stones. Zhang Li felt like he'd been shortchanged by the cost of it. Swordsman acknowledged, indeed, this isn't cheating. More like counting your chickens before they hatched. Swordsman, has anyone ever told you that you're too blunt? Yes, but they stopped the moment I drew my sword and started complimenting how honest and straightforward I am. How about you go back to Sword Tomb and have another go battling your heart demon? Let's just pretend I never saved you. The third round will be testing the alchemists' improvisational abilities. Here, we've gathered over 90% of the spirit herbs from all over the 9 continents. Feel free to use them, they don't cost any spirit stones thanks to our spirit grass sect sponsorship. Zhang Li noticed a twitch on the face of the sect master of the spirit grass sect. The man was in clear physical distress from the cost. The sixth prince continued, we ask each of the alchemy masters to craft the pill that you believe best represents your accomplishments in alchemy. If you require ingredients not provided by the spirit grass sect, please resolve it yourself. A pill that symbolizes their accomplishments in alchemy. That alone will make these alchemists think for a while. Everyone, that is, except Zhang Li and Swordsman. A pill that represents one's alchemy achievements would be difficult to make. It's not something 2 dilettantes like them could do. The sixth prince gave Zhang Li a look and added, it must be made on the spot. Zhang Li dismissed the thought of using the 9 turns immortal pill, and asked, could I hire someone to make it on the spot? No, Zhang Li felt these alchemists were too inflexible and lacked creativity. Forget it, I'll just try to win this round honestly. As someone in the Mahayana realm, creating a new pill shouldn't be a problem. Very soon, some alchemists decided on what they wanted to make, and began preparing, raiding the spirit grass sect's precious resources. Let's interview one. May I ask what kind of pill you wish to make? The interviewed alchemy master didn't stop working, and responded, in the countless years of history in the 9 continents, and even longer in the immortal realm, numerous precious pills have appeared and vanished. Their demise is primarily due to the rarity of their ingredients. These materials are gathered faster than they grow, and soon become extinct. Once the main ingredient is lost, the pill will also be lost to history. I believe that the pill best representing the achievement of alchemy should be those made from common spirit herbs that have been passed down from ancient times and will continue to be passed down. So, you wish to make a pill called Man Pill. One made from human material and capable of advancing one's cultivation. As soon as he finished speaking, a group of cultivators from the body integration realm pounced on him to arrest him, intending to take him to the imperial palace. A demon cultivator has the audacity to openly admit to manufacturing human pills. The alchemy master eagerly explained, no, it's not what you think. Let me explain. The man pill that I spoke of is made using my own blood. It wouldn't harm anyone else. Just look at me, I don't emit any demonic aura, I'm not a demon cultivator. With this explanation, people noticed that he lacked the characteristics of a demon cultivator and let him go. The atmosphere was a bit strange, so the sixth prince decided to interview another alchemy master to divert everyone's attention. Moving on to the next, he asked, Sir, what kind of pill would you like to make? A pill that every living being needs. And that would be the yin-yang harmony pill. The sixth prince thought he had heard wrong. Think about it, Your Highness. Cultivators can't live forever, and propagation is the way of survival. Regardless of how powerful any entity is, they cannot escape from this fact. The humanity reflected in the yin-yang harmony pill proves it to be the highest achievement in alchemy. The sixth prince asked, every cultivator can't escape propagation. That's right, but to my knowledge, the human emperor, Zhang, hasn't been in a relationship, let alone getting married. How does propagation apply to him? The alchemy master waved off his question, that just goes on to show the effectiveness of my yin-yang harmony pill. Even if Zhang the human emperor takes it, he would be filled with the desire to procreate. Really? The sixth prince was skeptical. I hope it's true. Quote, Master Chen Jian, what kind of pill do you want to make? A sword pill. What? Whether to advance cultivation or heal wounds, the consumption of pills is to protect oneself. In that case, why not be direct and use the pill for battle? The sword pill that I'm making could cause heavy injuries to a body integration realm cultivator. Once the enemy is injured, wouldn't you be safe? There would be no need to take pills anymore. The sixth prince struggled to keep up with swordsman's thought process. Master Jin Li, what kind of pill do you want to make? He found Zhang Li and asked him. Zhang Li was the one who left a deep impression on him. A self-created pill, Zhang Li casually replied, emanating an aura of aloofness. The spirit grass sect has provided 108,000 kinds of spirit herbs, which I used one of each to blend together. Zhang Li presented a shiny black pill. This pill was made from 108,000 kinds of spirit herbs. The sixth prince couldn't believe it, considering the sophistication of alchemy needed to be this advanced. Truly an alchemy master. What methods did you use to refine this pill? Was it a special kind of flame, or a unique technique? The sixth prince had been busy questioning others. He didn't see how Zhang Li had done it. Let me show you again. Zhang Li collected the spirit herbs and piled them up high again, as high as a small mountain. Then, with two invisible colossal hands, he squeezed the spirit herb mountain, forcibly squashing it into a pill. Clang! The pill fell to the ground with a sound akin to a metal block dropping. The sixth prince was stunned. He had never seen this method of pill making before. Where was the process of extracting medicinal properties and removing impurities? Today, he learned something new. While others use flames and pill furnaces for alchemy, this one used brute force. The only problem with this pill is it's a bit hard. Zhang Li handed the pill to the sixth prince. The sixth prince found that even with his strength at the divinity transformation stage, he could not pinch the pill. Is this thing even edible? Even if you swallowed it, wouldn't it remain undigested in the stomach? This pill used over 90% of the spirit herbs from the 9 continents. It is no doubt a great accomplishment in alchemy Dao, the highest achievement in alchemy Dao, isn't it? And what's its effect? Medicine used in alchemy has principles as to how they synergize and counteract each other. Just now, a combination of highly toxic substances was used, which would need careful application. Zhang Li, on the other hand, had clustered all of them into one another altogether. Is it a pill or poison was hard to tell. Zhang Li explained, this pill is called, life and death are fated, wealth is in heaven pill. It means that after consuming it, one may either experience a huge advancement in cultivation, advancing through several stages, or they may die. Everything is unknown. Why, Your Highness, would you like to try? Zhang Li enthusiastically pushed his product. The sixth prince shook his head fervently, afraid that if he shook his head any slower he would give Zhang Li the wrong impression. Chapter 422. To the sixth imperial prince's comfort, there were still a handful of alchemists and pill furnaces that were reliable and showed the true skill of an alchemy master. Su Wei, Red Crow Furnace, and the sect master of the spiritual medicine sect were a standout among the crowd. At least their alchemy techniques were more tout affair than Zhang Li's. Look, the sect master of the spiritual medicine sect is using spirit-devouring blossom as the main ingredient. The well-versed cultivators beneath the stage caused an uproar. The spirit-devouring blossom is a poison. Once ingested, it gradually devours the spiritual power of cultivators, leading them to a dry and deathly end. Rumors say that even the human emperor himself once fell victim to this deadly poison. Did you also eat spirit-devouring blossom, human emperor? Sword Monarch asked Zhang Li through a message when he heard the commotion from the stage. I did, and it perished in my stomach, he replied. The sixth prince, unaware of their exchange, went forward to ask the sect master of the spiritual medicine sect what pill he was concocting with such ferocious poison. You only know a piece of it all. The poison and the pill are one. They can either give birth to or destroy each other, as well as transform into each other. So you, I neither give birth to nor destroy, nor do I transform. The sixth imperial prince resisted the urge to spew profanity. Talking about the principles here is too hard for you guys. Wait until I finish, then I'll show you, the sect master of the spiritual medicine sect said, speeding up his work, finishing off the final touches. Lastly, add the mother-son lotus now. The pill furnace whirred rapidly, the cover flew off with a loud bang. Amidst the billowing smoke, a mysterious force lifted the glowing pill. The smoke lingered for a long time. It's a higher grade than the pill pattern, it's Dan Cloud. Sect Master Huang's pill has produced Dan Cloud. May I ask Sect Master Huang, what is the effect of this pill? It has no effect. What? The sixth imperial prince felt that since he hosted the body integration realm competition, he hadn't been able to follow the thought process. This is my self-created growth type pill. Initially, it's like a blank sheet of paper, useless. But when I feed it a chi gathering pill, it gains the effect of the chi gathering pill. The sixth imperial prince had heard of growth type spiritual treasures, but never of growth type pills. The sect master of the spiritual medicine sect placed a chi-gathering pill next to the growth-type pill, and an astonishing thing happened, the two pills gradually fused into one. Foundation establishment pill, root nourishing pill, small recovery pill. As long as it's a pill, it can swallow it. The sect master of the spiritual medicine sect took out a large pile of pills, all swallowed and merged by the growth-type pill. Now, this pill of mine has the effects of a chi-gathering pill, a foundation establishment pill, a root nourishing pill, and a small recovery pill. If it swallows all kinds of pills, it can become an all-purpose pill. Is there anything that can represent the highest achievement of alchemy better than an all-purpose pill? The sixth imperial prince hesitated for a moment, but couldn't help asking out loud, why don't I just swallow all kinds of pills directly? The sect master of the spiritual medicine sect extended a finger and swung it. We must discuss the second ability of my growth pill. It can produce smaller pills. As he spoke, the pill buzzed a few times and spat out a small pill. The two pills placed side by side resembled mother and daughter. The newborn pill also has the ability to devour other pills and produce smaller pills. This pill doesn't seem to be very useful for cultivators, does it? Who says it's not? It can be eaten and also raised as a pet. So, the Lubin sect is stealing your spiritual medicine sect's business, and you're stealing the imperial beast sect's business, thought Zhang Li. Not all spirit beasts sold by the imperial beast sect are for combat. Some people think spirit beasts are cute and buy them as pets. On second thought, the sixth imperial prince believed that Su Wei and Red Crow Furnace truly represent the highest level of the alchemy realm in the 9 provinces. And this was indeed the case. Su Wei and Red Crow Furnace represented their respective camps, and no matter what, they had to win the third competition. Ha ha ha, Su Wei, let's see how you win this round. This time, I am refining the Azure Sky Spirit Pill, which can enhance the soul strength of Transcendence Tribulation Stage cultivators, reducing 300 years of their cultivation. Red Crow Furnace was filled with complacent delight. The Azure Sky Spirit Pill was a great boon for Transcendence Tribulation Stage cultivators. It was almost an immortal pill, and Su Wei simply couldn't surpass it. Sword Monarch, would this Azure Sky Spirit Pill be of any use to you? Unless it's unavoidable, I never consume pills, especially those that enhance cultivation levels. Even the best pills will leave impurities. Taking pills will only allow these impurities to deposit in my body. Your view is just like Yu Yin's, Zhang Li laughed. What about the human emperor? Have you ever taken pills that enhance the cultivation level? Sword Monarch asked curiously. No, thanks to my heavenly spiritual root, my cultivation speed is too fast. I don't even need to consume pills. Sword Monarch thought he should talk less with Zhang Li in the future. Indeed, reaching the Mahayana realm in 200 years, no pill could accelerate cultivation at such a speed. When one enters the Mahayana realm, even the 9 turns immortal pills, and any other pills, lose their effectiveness on Zhang Li. Master Su is refining the Changbai Protecting Nation pill. The 6th Imperial Prince recognized the pill that Su Wei was refining at a glance, and couldn't help but exclaim. The Changbai Protecting Nation pill is not for the cultivator's consumption, but for enhancing the luck of a nation. It is an extremely rare pill for luck. The luck of a nation is closely related to the country. If a country is on the edge of extinction, then its luck is on the brink of collapse. But this Changbai Protecting Nation pill can forcefully bond the luck of a nation, sustaining it for 100 years. If the luck of a nation is intact, the nation will not perish. If a wise monarch appears and works diligently, it might even lift the nation from its downfall. With the Changbai Protecting Nation pill, it's like allowing a country to live 100 more years, maybe even bring it back to life. This is the pill every monarch deeply covets. The Great Han Dynasty, the predecessor of the Great Wei Dynasty, had carried on for an additional 100 years using this Changbai Protecting Nation pill. Unfortunately, it was still unable to reverse the course of fate and was replaced by Great Wei. The Changbai Protecting Nation pill is extremely difficult to concoct, and the spiritual medicine used is hard to find. Su Wei spared no expense on top-notch ingredients to concoct this pill, which pained him to no end. Moreover, the odds of successfully making a pill were just 30%. Fortunately, Lady Luck was with Su Wei, and he successfully concocted the Changbai Protecting Nation pill. The 6th Imperial Prince watched with envy. If he could buy this pill, he would certainly win the favor of the Emperor. It seems like the Emperor Father doesn't need this thing. The 6th Imperial Prince had a weird expression on his face. The pill had a time limit. If it wasn't used within 100 years, its effects would evaporate and become a waste pill. With the human emperor present, all the monarchs of the realms dared not bully their citizens too much. Instead, they wished to treat their citizens kindly in order to win the favor of the human emperor. In such a situation, it was unlikely that a nation would perish. Even if they obtained the Cheng by protecting nation pill, they wouldn't have the chance to use it. Someone spotted an anomaly in the sky. Look, isn't that the legendary pill thunder? The last time the pill thunder appeared was 20 years ago. Not just that, this is a double pill thunder. Both Su Wei and Red Crow Furnace have concocted a pill that attracts the pill thunder. The power of the two overlapping pill thunders is extraordinary. Pill thunder stands for the highest quality of pills. Normally it's something to be thrilled about, but neither Su Wei nor Red Crow Furnace could celebrate. If there was only one pill thunder, they could have endured it. But now, with not one but two, the power had multiplied several times. They were not able to resist the pill thunder. Chapter 423. Zhang Li, Grand Master of Alchemy. Generally, the more people there are within the range of the heavenly tribulation, the more powerful it is, and the same goes for the pill lightning. However, the pill lightning strikes at pills, so the more pills there are within the range, the greater its power. The darkness that blanketed the sky struck fear into the hearts of the alchemists, leaving them terrified and breathless. With these two factors combined, the power of the pill lightning had reached an unmeasurable level. Well, unmeasurable might not be the right word. Not strong enough. The tribulation of immortality is much more powerful. Zhang Li quickly gauged the power of the pill lightning. This level of power was even not enough to tickle him. The pill lightning came crashing down, wreaking havoc, and Su Wei was knocked aside by the Red Crow Furnace in his attempt to obstruct it. Are you suicidal? Even Zhang Konggu would not be able to withstand this pill lightning. Su Wei reluctantly gave up resisting the pill lightning. The intensity of the pill lightning had fully exceeded the realm of body integration's endurance. The only consolation for everyone was that the pill lightning struck pills, not people. The glare of the lightning illuminated the varied expressions on everyone's faces as it ruthlessly struck at the Longbai protection pill made by Su Wei and the heaven-transforming spirit pill made by the Red Crow Furnace. The mother and daughter safety type pill came in third place. No pill could withstand this powerful pill lightning. It's over, it's all over. This competition has no winners. A senior member of the alchemy world despaired. The pop-up alchemy meeting was in vain. With the pills turned to ashes, how could winners be determined? Let it strike mine first. Zhang Li patted Su Wei on the shoulder, and boldly brought out the life and death or fated, wealth is in heaven pill. Su Wei was surprised. Look, what is that Jin Li guy doing? His pill is resisting the pill lightning. How can his pill be so unyielding? People couldn't believe their eyes. Pill lightning needed an alchemist to resist as pills were weak and couldn't resist on their own. This Jin Li didn't make a move from start to finish, he let his pill resist the pill lightning on its own. Because of its high density, people were speechless. Indeed, a small mountain compressed into a pill would undoubtedly have a high density. Probably only those at the Transcendence Tribulation stage could break it. Could it be that he foresaw the coming of the pill lightning and prepared this pill in advance for this very moment? Someone suggested, finding their guess quite reasonable. Certainly, this Jin Li is an extraordinary alchemist. He realized that Su Wei and the Red Crow Furnace's skillful techniques would concoct a pill that would attract pill lightning, and he prepared in advance. If you think about it, his actions have always been unexpected but reasonable, which even led to his victory in the previous round. All of this might be within his calculations. How terrifying. He's truly a remarkable hidden alchemist. Wait a minute, it's not just him. That Chen Jian's sword pill is fine too. Everyone was astounded to discover that the Sword Lord's sword pill blocked the pill lightning for the Red Crow Furnace's heaven-transforming spirit pill. When the pill lightning struck the sword pill released sword chi, striking back at the pill lightning. The pill lightning and the pill were fighting against each other, and it seemed like the pill had the upper hand, pushing back the pill lightning bit by bit. I've been refining pills for over 1,000 years, and I've never seen a scene like this. No wonder these two hidden alchemists are so formidable. We alchemists have been too conservative. We should be bold in innovating. Someone was inspired and vowed to create a pill that breaks away from traditional thinking. Being constrained by prior ideas would inevitably limit surpassing predecessors. Well said, I admire the creativity of the sect master of the Ling medicine sect. We should learn and carry it forward. Once the meeting is over, I want to learn from the Ling medicine sect. Let's go together. Two secluded alchemists stepped in to block the heavenly tribulation from the elixir, demonstrating to everyone the diverse variety of pills. The outcome of the third competition was evident. The pair won without contest. The goal of this competition was to showcase elixirs symbolizing their alchemy accomplishments, the premise of which is to keep the elixir intact. If not for these two, every single elixir present would have been reduced to ashes. This was seen as the grace of saving elixirs. Zhang Li won 2 of the 3 competitions, becoming the first-place winner and earning the title of Grand Master of Alchemy. Su Wei and Jian Jun won 1 competition, tying for 2nd place. This marked the end of the convention, proving that an alchemist's skills surpassed those of a pill furnace. Jian Jun never thought that, by posing as an alchemist to learn alchemy here, he would unexpectedly earn the title of Pill Master. He could only make chi cluster pills. I'm glad I used an alias. Jian Jun rejoiced, understanding why the human emperor liked to change his name so much. The embarrassment fell not to Sword Monarch Chen Jianan, but Chen Jian. It seems that my alchemy skills are in order. Zhang Li gently nodded. Su Wei glanced at Zhang Li, guessing his identity. When Zhang Li was just a low-level cultivator, and Su Wei was the chief of Dan Refining Peak, they had known each other for hundreds of years. Even if Zhang Li thought he was very discreet, his distinctive way of thinking, identical to Bai Hongtu's, betrayed him to Su Wei. Whenever Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu were candidates for the human emperor, Su Wei had heard stories about how they exhibited extraordinary prowess, akin to reading a heavenly scroll. He didn't understand how a regular competition, according to the rules, always became extraordinary in their hands. If it were one person, it would be manageable. But when these 2 were together, whoever crossed paths with them would certainly be out of luck. Fortunately, this competition only involved Zhang Li. That person named Chen Jian was obviously not a disguise of Bai Hongtu. Unaware of Su Wei's thoughts, Zhang Li left nonchalantly, leaving only the story of a secluded alchemist. Congratulations to the host for completing the task, making a great name at the JoJo Alchemy Conference. Do you want to settle the task reward? Settle. An immortal elixir recipe appeared in Zhang Li's hands. What kind of elixir recipe is this celestial sun poison pill? A hugely toxic pill, a necessary elixir to defeat strong enemies with weakness. If you take this pill, you can go to the underworld, but it's hard to return. Zhang Li didn't expect the system's reward to be this reliable. From the description, it's used to poison enemies. It doesn't directly kill people but makes the soul depart from the body and go to the underworld. If separated for a long time, the soul and body will dissociate, resulting in actual death. This should be for those reaching the transcendence tribulation stage, as they can sense disaster and fortune, only these indirect poisons can annihilate them. Perhaps, I can use this pill to travel to the underworld. As for the ingredients, I have most of them. I only lack something called soul-severing water. Zhang Li had no expectations of easily creating the elixir. Since it's called an immortal pill, the necessary materials must be of the immortal realm. It was already fortunate to have most of them in JoJo. A small spark of black flames appeared in Zhang Li's palm. Devouring sky flames, a flame derived from the absorption intent within a black hole. Its power is astonishing. This flame is equivalent to a mini black hole. If I were in the nascent soul stage, this would be a great trump card. However, it's not very useful to me now. Zhang Li sealed the devouring sky flames and threw it into the storage ring to gather dust. As for this primordial yellow chi, it isn't much use to me either. For those at the divinity transformation or even body integration realm, this primordial yellow chi is very rare, but Zhang Li was not lacking. The bronze cauldron in the imperial palace, which holds the power of faith, has a large amount of primordial yellow chi as part of its raw material. Chapter 424. Golden Immortal. Thanks to the wolf guarding the sheep from the Silver Alliance. Heaven Eclipsing Plague Pill. You've acquired the pill formula for this. And you plan to ingest it to go to the underworld. The longevity elder was hardly rested for a few days when Zhang Li came to seek his advice again. Indeed, this pill formula is that of an immortal pill. The soul-breaking water listed on it can only be found in the underworld or the immortal realm. There are no substitute materials for it. Once, some people in the immortal realm had the same idea as yours, out of curiosity, attempting to reach the underworld using this method. However, none of them returned. Why not? Some speculated that the underworld is a place that only the dead can enter, and once you enter, you can't leave. The underworld doesn't even give face to the immortal realm. Zhang Li developed a liking for the underworld. Life and death is the greatest order in this world. The underworld is the last line of defense for the order of life and death, indifferent to who comes. Neither earth immortals, heavenly immortals, nor golden immortals can return once they go there. To go means death. 3 flowers gathering at the top, 5 chi facing the origin, returning the origin to the ultimate, reaching the ultimate round, is known as the golden immortal. Like the pie in the sky figures of the Mahayana realm that the longevity elder fabricated for everyone, the likes of Manhwa Immortal Monarch and Battle Immortal belong to this level. Very few cultivators from the 9 provinces who ascend to the immortal realm can cultivate to this step. This would already classify them as magnates of the immortal realm, free to do as they please without any constraints. For this reason, there have always been people flattering Zhang Li, claiming that he will definitely become a magnate in the immortal realm after his ascension. There are precedents for this. Above the golden immortal is the founder figure known as the ancestor, Dao sect hierarch, who has cultivated to the end. What about a person of the Dao sect hierarch's level? I don't know that, I am not the Dao sect hierarch. The longevity elder knew of Zhang Li's character. If he wanted to go to the underworld, no one could dissuade him from going. He believed that Zhang Li would likely be able to return. If not, couldn't he force him back? No, how could he have such a notion? As though he thought of something, the longevity elder said, "Previously, didn't you ask me what happened in the underworld that caused the underworld to be broken into, allowing souls to escape?" Mentioning the internal strife of the 10 halls of Yama, and the contradictions that arose. Yes, you said that, and also that the spirit kings were immortals in their past lives, having different ideas or something, and that the underworld wanted to attack the immortal realm. You said a lot, and I remember everything. That was all made up. Zhang Li almost choked on his spit. Elder, be upfront with me, how many times have you tricked me? The longevity elder was feeling quite helpless. When I first heard your description, I knew that it was probably done by a fallen immortal, but I didn't dare tell you the truth. If I had said that the underworld was attacked by foreign heavenly demons, you would have wondered why the immortal realm didn't care about the foreign heavenly demons, eventually leading you to deduce that there was a big problem with the immortal realm, that the heavenly demons are actually immortals. In my haste, I had to come up with a pile of inconsistent fabrications to smooth over the lie. The longevity elder admired himself. Ever since knowing Zhang Li, his ability to lie improved day by day. Zhang Li trusted the elder too much. If he thought carefully, it would be impossible to dismiss the safety of the underworld, and cause a big commotion in the underworld, disrupting the order of reincarnation. The only possible explanation was an external attack. Then, out of all the things you said about the underworld, how much of it is true? At least there are truly the 10 halls of Yama. So it's all false. Zhang Li was infuriated. Details about the 10 halls of Yama were everywhere in folklore, and did not require the elder to relay it to him. Anyway, the immortal realm should have found the location of the underworld and dispatched people to attack it. Then, isn't the underworld in grave danger? Zhang Li suddenly got up. The underworld was a matter of life and death affecting the 10,000 realms, and could not be ignored. The longevity elder showed no urgency at all. Don't underestimate the underworld. Although many immortals choose to reincarnate, a large number of benevolent immortals also chose to stay in the underworld. Numerous immortals have accumulated in the underworld from ancient times to the present, quite possibly the number of ghost immortals exceeding the earth immortals in the immortal realm. If they were to fight, the underworld would have a higher chance of winning. After tricking you that day, I intentionally watched the births situation in the 9 provinces over the past few months, but have not noticed any missing souls, dual soul bodies or infants that carried memories of their past lives. This indicates that the underworld is still operating normally. That's good. Zhang Li became more relaxed. Although the elder was a trickster, his arrangements were still very thorough. Therefore, you need not rush to die. Zhang Li felt that there was something odd about the elder's words. Oh, I meant a fake death. The longevity elder added. When Zhang Li was leaving the ceiling self cave, he encountered a person who rarely appeared in the Dao sect. The hierarch of the scholar sect, Dong Zongshu. Human Emperor, you're actually here. Dong Zongshu was overjoyed. He came here intending to invite Bai Hongtu, but their meeting was just as cold and sarcastic as always. He was quite frustrated. He did not expect to meet Zhang Li here. The doctrine of the scholar sect was to first cultivate the self and then the family before governing a country to achieve peace across the world. It could be said that their highest pursuit was to achieve peace across the world, but no one in their sect had ever been able to achieve this goal. However, Dong Zongshu believed that Zhang Li had accomplished the feat of achieving peace across the world, a feat considered legendary, and had always been learning from him. I came to seek advice from Elder. Why, is there something? Yes, the anniversary of the birth of the saint of the scholar sect will soon be upon us. Our scholar sect plans to hold grand celebrations. The founder of the scholar sect was Dong Zongshu, but the doctrine of the scholar sect was not proposed by him. The origin of the scholar sect can be traced to the top of the immortal realm, the saint of the scholar sect. It was said that after Dong Zongshu ascended to the immortal realm, he became a disciple of the saint of scholars and enjoyed a lot of prestige. The Great Confucian word post was also obtained from his fellow disciple by Dong Zhongshu and then left in the scholar sect as a treasure. The saint of scholar sect was a great figure who was on counter with the Tao sect hierarch. Given the current situation in the immortal realm, he was either dead or had joined the heavenly Tao. However, there was no need for Zhang Li to discuss these matters with Dong Zhongshu. Let them celebrate. After all, the immortal realm couldn't receive any information from the 9 provinces. The scholar sect being happy was good enough. There was no need to rain on their parade. Sure, I am aware of this matter. I will drop by the scholar sect. Dong Zhongshu respectfully handed Zhang Li an invitation and then left. Did you have another argument? Zhang Li asked Bai Hongtu, who was hiding nearby, with a smile. They are all trivial matters not worth mentioning. Bai Hongtu didn't wish to talk more. He and Dong Zhongshu had known each other for a long time. 500 years ago, when they were both spellwalkers each wanting to beat the other, they often fought, with their victories and losses evenly matched. Despite the frequent fights, they had a decent relationship. However, later during the selection of the human emperor, Bai Hongtu was chosen by the Earth Veins to become a candidate for human emperor, while Dong Zhongshu was not. Bai Hongtu felt that although Dong Zhongshu always spoke of sacrificing himself for the world, he didn't really mean it, or else he would have become a candidate for the human emperor. He was a hypocrite who said one thing and did another. So, will you go? Of course, I must go. I heard that the scholar sect is organizing a gentleman's country to celebrate the saint's birth, and I am curious to see what they have come up with. Don't stir up trouble, Zhang Li warned him. What are you talking about? When have I ever caused trouble? Chapter 425. If 3 are walking together, one of them must be my teacher. Confucianism has always pursued the establishment of a gentleman's country, where everyone is personally humble. Dong Zhang has managed to cultivate his person and regulate his family. He is currently in the phase of running a state. As for pacifying the world, that task is still very far away. Zhang Li had heard from early on that Dong Zhang wanted to create a gentleman's country, and had been trying to do so. He didn't expect that quietly, they had already successfully established the gentleman's country. It seems that they wanted to celebrate the anniversary of the birth of the Confucianism saint and didn't advertise it until today. The gentleman's country was established not far from Confucianism, so one could easily find it before the birthday of the Confucianism saint. Is this the gentleman's country? It's quite lively. The atmosphere in the gentleman's country was warm, as preparations were underway for the celebration of the Confucianism saint's birthday in a few days. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu considered themselves to be gentlemen, so naturally, they want to explore the gentleman's country to learn and improve themselves. Speaking of which, Dong Zhang once created a prototype of the gentleman's country, saying that everyone in that country was humble and loved each other. I didn't believe it. When I threw out a bunch of top-quality spirit stones, people in that country started fighting over them. I've never seen Dong Zhang get so black-faced before. Bai Hongtu shrugged, not believing in the idea of a gentleman's country. While they were talking, someone's storage ring dropped to the ground and was picked up by another person. The storage ring was quite valuable, but the person who picked it up didn't want to keep it. Instead, he called to the person who lost it. Sir, you dropped your storage ring. The owner took the storage ring, thanked the other man. This storage ring is a family heirloom and is extraordinarily significant. Please accept these spirit stones as a token of my gratitude. The person who picked up the storage ring kept waving his hands. Sir, you must not. Returning lost items to their rightful owners is the proper thing to do. How can I ask for a reward? If I receive a reward today, won't there be people in the future who will pick up lost items and demand spirit stones? The owner was ashamed. You are more thoughtful than I am. I was too careless. The two of them bowed to each other and parted on good terms. Bai Hongtu was amused. This gentleman's country indeed had something interesting. They kept observing and found out that the way people conducted transactions here was also quite interesting. Shopkeeper, this piece of agate here is of excellent quality. I'd like to buy it. How many spirit stones does it cost? 10 low-grade spirit stones. Here, take 15 low-grade spirit stones. No, that's too much. Take it. I like this piece of agate, and I think it's worth 15 low-grade spirit stones. In that case, I will give you another piece of agate as a token of appreciation. The shopkeeper pulled out another piece of agate with a similar quality, also worth roughly 10 low-grade spirit stones. There's no need for that. A gentleman should not receive rewards for no reason. I would feel extremely embarrassed accepting this gift. Oh, please take it. A gentleman should be rewarded. You and I are both gentlemen, so accepting gifts is a normal thing. The relationship between gentlemen is as light as water and consists not in giving or receiving gifts. This is just a small token of my appreciation. You're too kind, but I really can't accept it. The two of them kept on insistently refusing each other until they finally completed the transaction. Watching them, Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu were almost falling asleep. These people don't seem to find it troublesome at all. Bai Hongtu retorted. Transactions, which were normally as simple as giving and receiving items, seemed here like trying to pull apart a sticky candy. The transaction just goes on and on. That's why I say you're a fake gentleman. Zhang Li looked at Bai Hongtu disdainfully. You don't find this bothersome? I'm a fake gentleman too. Zhang Li also looked at himself disdainfully. Just as the two of them were bickering, a scholar lightly fanning himself with a paper fan approached them. The paper fan had a landscape painting on it, embellished with poems. This was clearly the style of a Confucianist. You two look unfamiliar. I presume you're from outside here. I see you both have integrity, so you must be gentlemen. Would you be interested in joining our Three Comrades Association of Gentlemen? Quote. You have a good eye. Bai Hongtu hadn't heard someone praise his integrity in a long time. The Three Comrades Association of Gentlemen. Zhang Li, who doesn't care for the compliment, took note of the name of the organization. Indeed, perhaps you two haven't heard of our organization. But our Three Comrades Association of Gentlemen is a famous large organization throughout the gentleman's country. Its name comes from the sage Confucius's words, whenever three are walking together, there must be one who can be my teacher. Choose the good in them and follow it, and the not good and change it. The gentlemen who choose to join us are innumerable, including quite a few people from Confucianism. Zhang Li, interested, asks, but we are only 2 people, can we also join your association? Of course, 3 people is just a theoretical ideal. In reality, 2 people are fine too, as are 4. I see. I thought if we didn't have enough people, I could use the establishment of the 3 Pure Land to make up the numbers. Zhang Li almost used his spell. Haha, you're quite the joker. The member of the Gentlemen's Association assumed Zhang Li was joking. The establishment of the 3 Pure Land is Dao Sect's secret formula. It's extremely challenging to cultivate. Even prodigies at the body integration realm cannot master it. How could this man before their eyes possibly know it? May I know your names? Tang Li, the Tang from 300 Tang poems. White Blueprint, the Blueprint from Magnificent Blueprint. They both proudly stated their pseudonyms, and even explained their origin. The Confucianist bowed. So it's Brother Tang and Brother White. The Confucianist led them to a stronghold of the Three Comrades Association of Gentlemen. Joining our Gentlemen's Association requires a prerequisite first. Confucius taught us to learn virtues from the people around us and correct our faults. Please find the virtues in each other. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu looked at each other as if they were facing a great enemy. They didn't expect the entrance exam to be this difficult. Can we talk about the faults? Zhang Li can instantaneously list a ton of faults about Bai Hongtu without a draft. The Confucianist admired. Virtues are easy to learn, faults are hard to change. You two are truly gentlemen, setting a higher bar for yourselves. But joining our Gentlemen's Association does not require such a rigorous test. After contemplating, Bai Hongtu sincerely said, Tang Li is full of virtues from head to toe. I'd like to hear more. He is brimming with spiritual energy. Even a drop of his sweat contains an amount of spiritual energy that could help a monk at the foundation establishment stage to advance to the body integration realm. If someone could eat a piece of his flesh, they could become immortal. The Confucianist looked at Zhang Li, unsure whether to call him Brother Tang or Tang Elder. Zhang Li also earnestly said, White Blueprint's virtue is that he knows how to correct his mistakes. He used to grind his teeth and snore while sleeping. But after I told him about it, he stopped. How did he change that? The Confucianist was curious. If that could be changed, then he would love to learn how. By not sleeping. You're talking nonsense. Bai Hongtu was exasperated. You're blatantly slandering me. Isn't there any conscience in you? It was you who first said eating a piece of my flesh could make someone immortal. Gentlemen should reciprocate. Zhang Li replied calmly. Bai Hongtu retaliated. Your virtue is that you always stick to your principles. You absolutely won't eat anything you don't like. Zhang Li unflinchingly fired back. Your virtue is your ability to adapt. You always find loopholes in any rule. Your virtue is knowing how to use people well. Each of your subordinates is a competent individual. Your virtue is that you are eloquent and not a single word you say is truthful. The two of them, without hesitation, pointed out each other's virtues. The Confucianist felt that these two were very capable, their arguments were just minor disagreements and weren't a big issue. Congratulations! You are now members of the Three Comrades Association of Gentlemen. The Confucianist clapped. Chapter 426. The Legend of the Confucian Sage. We have set up a school to teach our children the proper way to behave from a young age. Currently, the school is studying the teachings of Confucianism. Would the two of you care to join? The Confucian scholar invited Zhang Li and Bai Hong to. Sure. Before the three of them entered the school, they could hear the students reading out loud. The sage said, "Isn't it a pleasure to learn and rehearse again and again? Isn't it gratifying when friends come from distant places? Isn't it refined when someone remains unconcerned by others not knowing them?" The students were intensely focused on repeating each line. The teacher, wielding a ruler, was lost in his own teachings on the podium. The three of them did not interrupt the teacher's class, sitting in the last row instead. Excellent, everybody had done well. The teachings of the sage should be recited again and again so as to understand their meanings. As you gain more knowledge and experiences with age, you will derive fresh insights into his wisdom. Despite living for 300 years and reading these teachings for just as long, I am still finding new understandings. The wisdom of the sage is as deep as the ocean, said the teacher. You now only need to understand the superficial meanings. For example, isn't it refined when someone remains unconcerned by others not knowing them? This means a true gentleman should not be upset even if others do not know him. In a cultivator's life, the aim is the pursuit of achieving immortality. Although every gentleman seeks reputation and cultivation, the fundamental premise is virtue. Any reputation earned without virtue will only bring infamy. Any cultivator who lacks virtue will only blight his surroundings. Let's take an example. Teacher Wang pointed at Zhang Li. Yes, you must be a new member. What is your name? Let's check if anyone knows you. Will you be upset if no one does? Zhang Li stood up, thought for a moment and decided to tell the truth. My name is Zhang Li. The teacher nodded. Fine, does anyone here know Zhang? Wait, what? Your name is Zhang Li. Why didn't you say your name is Bai Hong Tu? What about the one over there? What is your name? My name is Bai Hong Tu. The teacher felt this class might not continue with a straight face. Whoever was the most famous, just claimed it was them. If bold enough, they could even have claimed to be Yu Yin. The Confucianist tried to smooth things over. Please forgive them for the joke, Teacher Wang. They are new here and like to make fun sometimes. Teacher Wang gestured to show there was no harm done. Let's move on and continue with the teachings of the sage. The sage said, when you see a virtuous person, strive to become like them. When you see someone without virtue, examine your own character. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu looked at each other and began to reflect on themselves. Seeing the two of them calming down, Teacher Wang was very pleased and continued. The sage also said, to know that you know what you know, and that you do not know what you do not know, this is true knowledge. The sage is telling us to admit what we know, and to admit what we do not know. Pretending to understand something when you don't is not the way. For example, on the market, there are many versions of The Legend of Zhang the Human Emperor. However, do you know where the first meeting between Zhang the Human Emperor and sect master Bai Hongtu took place? Sword Tomb, Bai Hongtu replied instantly. Let's ask another. What was the first thing the previous human emperor said to Zhang Li when he defeated Bai Hongtu and became the only candidate for human emperor? I am so relieved you were there, otherwise we would have had Bai Hongtu as human emperor, Zhang Li replied instantly. What does divinity, in the divinity transformation stage, mean? Transform all creations into the divine being within one's heart. How to unite three in the body integration stage? One's heart follows one's will, comprehension of the great road, merging the body and form. During the celestial period, what were the chances of a cultivator at the transcendence tribulation stage becoming an earth immortal? 86%. Which steps does the transcendence tribulation involve? Crossing the immortality tribulation, converting the spiritual energy into immortal power, and transforming the physical body. How does an earth immortal become a heavenly immortal? Never mind. I won't ask any more. Even I don't know. The teacher clenched his teeth. To know you know what you know, and that you do not know what you do not know, this is true knowledge. This is what the sage said. Do you understand? The teacher finally managed to express his intended meaning, albeit in an unconventional way. The Confucianist hurriedly pulled the two graduates out of the school hall. After listening to a lecture, Zhang Li reflected and suddenly asked, do you know the relationship between Confucian and the Taoist ancestor? Previously, Zhang Li had not much interest in the relationship between the top figures in the immortal realm. However, now that he found himself in opposition to the immortal realm, he thought it was best to understand them better. His main concern was not wanting to be caught unawares in a fight. The scholar laughed wryly. How could someone like me know about these things? Of course, Zhongli wasn't asking the Golden Core stage scholar, but Bai Hongtu. Bai Hongtu thought for a while and said, our ancestor surely had no connection with the Confucian sage, as the two of them were from completely different eras. As for whether my ancestor met the Confucian sage after transcending into the immortal realm, I believe it's unlikely. If you're asking about the relationship between the Confucian sage and the Taoist ancestor in the immortal realm, there are indeed quite a few legends, although these are just legends. It is uncertain whether they contain any element of truth. Tell me about them. Legends claim that the progenitors of Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism in the immortal realm, Taoist ancestor, Confucian sage, and Buddha, existed since the beginning of the immortal realm. Even though there may be later arrivals who reach the same level as them, in terms of seniority and cultivation, nobody can match these three. These three are the oldest existence with endless longevity, lasting even longer than heaven and earth. However, there is also a claim that Taoist ancestor came into existence even before the Confucian sage. Back then, Taoist ancestor was the first person in the immortal realm to achieve enlightenment and held the position of Taoist leader. The Confucian sage used to seek Taoist teachings when he had not yet achieved enlightenment. Nobody knows what Confucian asked the Taoist ancestor, nor how the Taoist responded. We only know that after Confucian left Taoist, he began to travel around the immortal realm to spread Confucianism. He assumed countless forms to teach beings in the 10,000 realms. Many beings, after listening to the lectures of Confucian, attained spiritual wisdom, understood honor and disgrace, gained a sense of shame, and knew how to cultivate. The actions of Confucian benefited all beings in the 10,000 realms, earning him great virtue, which, along with his innate talent, caused him to achieve enlightenment smoothly, reaching a status comparable to the Taoist ancestor, thus becoming the Confucian sage. Although I don't like Dong Zhang, speaking objectively, I have to admit that he may have a point in questioning this. With the mortal realm existing for so many years, many earth immortals, heavenly immortals, and even golden immortals have perished over the course of ages. The relationship between Taoist and Confucian is known only to them. Perhaps Buddha knows too. However, Buddha sometimes uses riddles to make points, speaking in a way that is no different from remaining silent. With these two keeping quiet and Buddha speaking riddles, others have gone on to concoct a plethora of legends with their imagination. The number of such legends is almost catching up with the versions of the legend of Zhang the human emperor. Some even suggest that the Taoist and Confucian are in a master-disciple relationship and they started the two schools due to differences in their teachings. Zhang Li now had an intuitive grasp of the volume of legends concerning the Taoist and Confucian. Brother Bai is indeed knowledgeable, said the scholar. He had listened to the conversation between the two as if they were reciting some sacred texts. He had learned many new things today. Suddenly, someone came rushing in shouting, the Book Mountain Society has come to challenge us, the Gentleman's Society, again. They have even kidnapped one of us. The scholar was infuriated upon hearing this. How dare they? Brother Tang and Brother Bai, let's go demand our people back from the Book Mountain Society. Zhang Li paused for a moment, turning to see who Brother Tang was. He then remembered that he was now called Tang Li. Chapter 427. Say it, quick or not quick. In Gentleman's Country, Book Mountain was a significant power equal to the Gentleman's Assembly, both of which boasted the backing of Confucian teachings. The two organizations were known for their overt and covert battles and the people around them had long since become accustomed to this spectacle. Members of the Gentleman's Assembly, armed with various clubs, knives, guns, and all kinds of spiritual treasures, made their way to the grounds of Book Mountain with a menacing aura. Zhang Li found the situation fascinating and sent a message to Bai Hongtu, looking at their posturing, are they about to fight? This isn't at all how gentlemen handle things. Bai Hongtu put on a knowing expression, this must be due to the imperfect state established by the founder of the Gentleman's Assembly. People here seem to handle things civilly, but when confronted with a problem, resolution lies in their fists. Upon seeing the arrival of the aggressive Gentleman's Assembly members, Book Mountain was not one to back down. They brought out their various spiritual treasures to confront the Gentleman's Assembly, matching its force. You petty people with your pretentious airs. You've kidnapped students from our Gentleman's Assembly, release them now. On their way there, members of the Gentleman's Assembly had understood the situation. Book Mountain invited some Gentleman's Assembly students to visit and learn from them. Now, people from Book Mountain claimed that these students wanted to join their organization. Stuff and nonsense. Who'd believe you, claiming we have kidnapped anyone? It's clear that these students found our conditions favorable and wanted to join us of their own volition. Offer up whatever you will, we of the Gentlemen's Assembly will double it. No homework assignments after class. The people from Book Mountain chuckled proudly. Everyone knew the students of the Gentlemen's Assembly were burdened the most with homework, often having to transcribe the scholars' discourses 10 times over. You scoundrels! The scholars have always said learning involves going over old material to understand it anew. You dare to cancel homework assignments? The scholars also say that teaching should be tailored to the individual. Who has decided that only homework can help absorb old material? We instruct by setting an example, imparting knowledge to students. You're quibbling. Take your own incompetence elsewhere. The conflict between the Gentlemen's Assembly and Book Mountain rapidly escalated. Various spiritual treasures hummed with power, surging spiritual power indicating an imminent battle. The air itself seemed to carry a thick aura of death. It seems today's dispute won't be resolved without a duel. Members of the Gentlemen's Assembly were livid. Bring it on, if you've got the guts. Book Mountain remained undeterred. The highest level among them was at the nascent soul stage, overall being a stronger assembly than the Gentlemen's Assembly. Just as Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu thought a fight was imminent, a member of the Gentlemen's Assembly spoke. As per tradition, a poetry contest. Bring it on. Setting their spiritual treasures aside, both sides immediately set about grinding ink and composing poetry. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu were not quite sure what was going on, prompting them to ask, since you had already taken out your spiritual treasures, why did you put them away? Members of the Gentlemen's Assembly chuckled. As gentlemen, we certainly can't be waving weapons about to determine life and death. But why did you bring out your spiritual treasures in the first place? To show our power. Then the member suggested, you two are members of our Gentlemen's Assembly. Why not also participate in the contest? Our poetic skills may not be exceptional. Just that we can recite poems quickly but risks messing it up. We, the Tang family, are known for our 300 Tang poems, but I did not inherit my ancestors' talent and ability to compose poems. A Gentlemen's Assembly member laughed. No need to worry, participation matters more. If the students genuinely want to stay with Book Mountain, we'll respect their wishes, but the challenge now is not to lose face. To ensure fairness, the Gentlemen's Assembly proposed the specific rules for the contest, while Book Mountain posed the challenges. A member of the Gentlemen's Assembly cleared his throat and said, true poetry is a natural gift, a stroke of genius, creating a timeless masterpiece on the spot isn't realistic. If we were to write about what we see, it could easily become embellished and empty. Let's decrease the difficulty. We will engage in a quick-fire poetry contest. You propose the first half of a verse, we will reply with the second half within 10 seconds. If we fail to do so, we accept defeat. Book Mountain immediately agreed, all right. However, I would like to add one condition. What is it? These two new gentlemen must be recent recruits of your Gentlemen's Assembly. If you lose, you must hand these two over to us. Not making a decision for Zhang Li, the Kuishu asked, Tang Li and Bai Lan, what do you think? We don't mind either way. Zhang Li felt it didn't matter where he ended up. Once agreement was reached, Book Mountain posed the first challenge. Listen carefully, I will recite the first half of the verse. Flying down the waterfall 3,000 feet, what is the second half? To warm up, Book Mountain started with an easy verse which was quickly answered. Till reaching the Yellow River, one's heart won't rest. Bai Hongtu blurted out the second half. Book Mountain focused their attention on Bai Hongtu, viewing the Gentlemen's Assembly as having taken in a genuine talent. The first half of the verse is, having no faithful companion at the end of the road, what is the second half? To the west of the Yellow Pass, there's no such friend. Bai Hongtu was the first to answer again. Book Mountain wanted to retort, did you eliminate all your faithful companions? Where iron shoes tread, no place found. That man is at the dim-lit end of the street. Zhang Li beat Bai Hongtu to the response. Upon first hearing, members from both the Book Mountain and the Gentlemen's Assembly didn't see an issue. Upon closer thought, they realized something was off. It was clearly, where iron shoes tread, no place found, all effort spent in vain, versus, in the lantern gloom at the corner, turning to look back suddenly, that man is there. How did you manage to join two unrelated lines into one verse? On the ancient road outside the long pavilion, a line of egrets ascends into the sky. 100 charms from that backward glance and smile. In silence, so much more profound than speech. Gazing up at the bright moon. Meeting oneself in the shadow. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu replied without hesitation, without a hint of pause. As other students gathered to watch the literary battle, members of Book Mountain and the Gentlemen's Assembly quickly shooed them away. They could not afford to learn from these two. Next, on the brink of death, he gets up with a start. Laughing, he asks the guest from whence he came. Bai Hongtu once again beat Zhang Li to the response. Did the author of the poem have a near-death experience? Shouted a member of Book Mountain. I have a kind heart and can't bear to see people die. If I can save one, that's one less death. Bai Hongtu replied sincerely. The author of the poem is long dead, for over 10,000 years. May he rest in peace. Members of Book Mountain were on the verge of losing their patience with Bai Hongtu. You must think we gentlemen of the Gentlemen's Assembly can't fight. Can you withstand my nascent soul stage fist? Privately, a member of the Gentlemen's Assembly asked Bai Hongtu, haven't all of your responses been incorrect? All you wanted was speed, right? Realization dawned on the member from the Gentlemen's Assembly. He felt as if two gods had descended upon them. The Gentlemen's Assembly was a small testament to their presence and couldn't accommodate these two gods. The Gentlemen's Assembly member was headstrong. He clasped his fists and said, we've lost this contest. We, the Gentlemen's Assembly, honor our bets. Tang Li and Bai Hongtu, you now belong to them. A gentleman admits and corrects his mistakes. Book Mountain, however, respectfully declined the gift. No. On the contrary, the essence of a quick-fire poetry contest is speed. Your quick and nimble thinking, able to come up with what others can't, indicates that we, Book Mountain, are the ones who lost. We conceded first, we're the ones who lost. We, Book Mountain, don't acknowledge your concession. It's us who lost. The two sides outdid each other in expressing goodwill, leading bystanders to praise both the Gentlemen's Assembly and Book Mountain for their virtues, generously relinquishing victory to the other. Chapter 428. The Truth of the Gentleman's Country. Friendly reminder, the previous chapter might have hazardous influences on teenagers. We kindly advise junior and senior high school students not to follow Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu's lead. Specifically, don't write random phrases while reciting ancient poems and lyrics. The two of them were naturally kicked out by the Gentlemen's Association. The reason was that the Gentlemen's Association didn't want them. Even the Book Mountain Society dared not take these two. It's easy to invite trouble, but hard to get rid of it. They dared not mimic the Gentlemen's Association's actions. Indeed, you two together really are nothing but trouble, the voice of Piao Miao echoed in Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu's ears. Yu Yin appeared. As soon as Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu entered the Gentleman's Country, Yu Yin noticed the duo and observed them for half a day. At first, Yu Yin was worried that these two would disturb the birth celebration of the Confucian saint. Later, she shook her head and chuckled lightly, feeling her worries were unnecessary. After all, these two were undoubtedly going to cause trouble, so why worry about it? Out of her compassionate heart, Yu Yin decided it was necessary to follow these two to prevent them from doing anything inappropriate. The Book Mountain Society and the Gentlemen's Association served as perfect examples. It was all Bai Hongtu's doing. Zhang Li quickly cleared himself of any involvement with practiced skill. His skill was cultivated from causing mischief for the old human emperor. Yu Yin glanced at Zhang Li dismissively and said, you think I'm as naive as Pure Heart, to believe everything you say. Pure Heart is just innocent, not stupid. Zhang Li corrected. You're not much smarter than her. Yu Yin thought these two were not very bright. Aren't you supposed to be handling the affairs of the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty? Why are you here early? Bai Hongtu asked. Considering Yu Yin's personality, she usually only arrived just before the ceremony and rarely came early. Yu Yin sighed, I heard a secret from the immortal realm. Something big happened in the immortal realm, so I couldn't focus on state affairs. I came to clear my mind. I really envy you two for never having to worry about that. Master, don't worry, if the immortal realm dares to interfere, I'll help you deal with them. The Ruyi gourd at her waist vibrated, asserting its existence. The Ruyi gourd wasn't bluffing. After the immortal artifact gained consciousness, its power greatly increased. Ordinary earth immortals were no match for it. In Zhang Li's view, this gourd might even be able to fight against a heavenly immortal. This was, however, assuming that the immortal who refined the Ruyi gourd was merely a golden immortal. If it were the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal or the Brahma Tower, immortal artifacts that had a close relationship with the Taoist ancestor and Buddha, their power would be even greater, each could rival a heavenly immortal. Only Zhang Li could guarantee to suppress them. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal proudly considered itself the chief immortal artifact, not only because it enlightened all the spiritual treasures of the 9 provinces but also because of its astounding origins. The Great Confucian Word Post was not refined by the Confucian saint, so its status was lower than the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal. Bai Hongtu shrugged, worrying about it won't help. In the end, it's definitely Zhang Li who will have to fight. From Earth Immortals to Heavenly Immortals, then from Heavenly Immortals to Golden Immortals. Finally, he'll alert the great beings of the Buddha's level. When the big shots take action, it's still going to be up to Zhang Li. You've got a point there. Yu Yin nodded lightly. They were currently far too weak compared to the top fighters of the immortal realm, a gap only Zhang Li could bridge. Zhang Li sighed, don't say it so casually. Bai, you should at least sort out the 9 provinces spirit plant array, that's also one of our trump cards. Bai Hongtu patted his chest in assurance, leave it to me, we've already formed a united front. Unified against me or the immortal realm? Hard to say. Zhang Li still remembered when Bai Hongtu added him to a group chat, discussing how to gather the power of the 9 provinces against him. Although Bai Hongtu often made surprising moves, he was quite reliable in handling matters. With Bai Hongtu in charge, there wouldn't be any problems with the 9 provinces spirit plant array. The 9 provinces guardian array was a good example. I have to say, though Dongzong is not much of a character, the gentleman's country he established is not bad, Zhang Li praised, what a pity it can't last. Their tactics couldn't be hidden from the 3 of them. They had long discovered the reason why everyone behaved like a gentleman in the gentleman's country. Confucian disciples were scattered throughout the streets and lanes, secretly observing people's words and deeds, scoring them. The Confucian sect awarded prizes based on these scores. The Book Mountain Society and Gentlemen's Association also had Confucian disciples, for the same reason. However, these disciples were known, while others remained hidden. In other words, the current state of the gentleman's country was created by the Confucian sect using spirit stones. It's not all about incentivizing with spirit stones, there are also many people who genuinely want to become a gentleman from the bottom of their hearts. It indicates that Dongzong's teachings are effective, and we're seeing initial results. Yu Yin thought the atmosphere of the gentleman's country was not artificially created, but was genuinely grounded with Dongzong's effort and hard work invested in it. Yu Yin was an extremely beautiful woman. Though she didn't show her true face, she was still breathtaking. Elsewhere, people would instinctively glance back at Yu Yin, but in the gentleman's country, such situations were rare for Yu Yin. She found this quite comfortable. Yu Yin guessed that Dongzong displayed the gentleman's country with the intention of performing for the Confucian saint. The significance was greater than the form itself. Regardless of the purpose, the outcome was good. Bai Hongtu said, what Dongzong pursues is a country where everyone is noble in character and moral integrity. Morality is established both in people's hearts and in material wealth. If the material wealth is not sufficient, there's no use demanding morality. The 3 of them had different views on the gentleman's country. Zhang Li said, managing the gentleman's country is too difficult. Dongzong's steps are too big. In my opinion, the Zhou dynasty method is better. Use laws to constrain cultivators and mortals. Morality is not something that can be imposed. Laws are the bottom line, while morality is a higher requirement. If Dongzong first spread the laws and then improved morality using the laws, perhaps the results would be better. You sure do like the statutes. Is it because you were born in the Zhou dynasty, or is it just your nature? Bai Hongtu joked. Zhang Li pondered for a moment before asking seriously, have you ever heard of jurisprudence? I've studied it for a few years. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin exchanged a glance, indicating they had never heard the term. By its name, it seemed related to law, but the Zhou dynasty had legislation studies, criminal law studies, and civilian law studies, yet they never heard of jurisprudence. Never mind then. Zhang Li didn't wish to delve into it further. Come on, say something about it, talking more won't cost you any money. Bai Hongtu's interest was piqued. Yu Yin remained silent, but curiosity shimmered in her eyes. Leave me some privacy. As the 3 of them joked around, they noticed someone on the roadside explaining the meaning and background stories of idioms with some familiar faces listening intently. Dream Yu Yu, the head of Heihuan sect, was attentively taking notes. Bai Hongtu glanced at Dream Yu Yu's notebook, and noticed it was filled with various illustrations of intimate positions between men and women. The Heihuan sect was dedicated to providing customized and diverse services. Some clients liked disciples from the Heihuan sect with a scholarly temperament. The Heihuan sect catered to such clients by organizing their disciples to study in the gentleman's country. However, Dream Yu Yu's line of study was slightly different to other disciples. A verbal battle with a group of Confucian scholars, so, the gentleman's country likes to play this way, got it. The 3 quickly left. They had no desire to know what kind of Gameplay, dream you use, verbal battle with a group of Confucian scholars referred to. Chapter 429, Little Fortune Teller. With Yu Yin joining, the duo became a real trio, preventing Zhongli and Bai Hongtu from messing around. They toured the gentleman's country obediently. Every time I visit the Dayu Empire, I feel like it's a different world from the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. I get similar feelings visiting the gentleman's country. Yu Yin sighed. The internal struggles of the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty were a result of its nation's fortune. Some tactics used were so dirty that even she found it hard to adapt. She was trying to find ways to change the destiny of her country, but progress was almost non-existent. Have a look, have a look. I, as a disciple of the Blue Void Mountain, provide consultation and calculate one's destiny. A small Taoist was shouting loudly, his attire resembling that of a fortune teller. Blue Void Mountain, could it be the legendary secluded sect that claims to calculate the heavenly secrets, thus going against heaven's will, forcing it to close its doors and decline all visitors? I always thought Blue Void Mountain was just a legend. Who would have thought it actually exists? 80% chance it's a swindler. People passing by were whispering, some believed, some didn't. How many spirit stones? Some people thought that dishonest acts shouldn't occur in the gentleman's country and wanted to give it a try. 10 lower grade spirit stones. The man seemed skeptical. This was too cheap. With a mentality that no loss would be incurred, the man asked, "Can you predict when my wife and I can have a child?" The little fortune teller looked at the man, he counted with his thumb, then showed a troubled look. "Before you want a child, could you first find a wife?" The man was surprised. He didn't expect this unremarkable little fortune teller could predict that he was not yet married. "Here are another 10 spirit stones. Can you predict when I will become a golden core stage cultivator?" The little fortune teller pushed the spirit stones back. "Each person can only ask once. You have used up this chance. Your destiny has been used up. Goodbye." Despite the man's good words, the fortune teller was adamant and he had no choice but to give up. "Little mister, can you calculate why I have been having trouble sleeping at night recently?" "Because you have slept for 5 hours during the day." "Little mister, I want to be rich. It's always me giving spirit stones to others. When is it my turn to receive spirit stones? Here are your 10 spirit stones back, take it." "Little mister, will I be successful in cheating on this exam?" "There's no need to cheating. You will have a stomachache on the day of the exam and you will spend the whole day in the toilet and miss the exam." "Little mister, I am a mighty body integration realm cultivator, but yesterday when I woke up, I found that my body was empty and had no mana. What happened to me?" "Play less holodeck, you are actually at the 3rd level of chi cultivation." "Xiao Xiao, didn't think that there are fortune tellers in this world too, shall we give it a try?" Sha Chao was excited. As per Zhong Li's suggestion, he came to this world. Every day he could witness something fresh. The more time he spent in this world, the more he knew, the more he could feel the greatness of Zhong Li. Looking back, he felt that he was tremendously lucky to have summoned Zhong Li. Xiao Xiao's head had dragon horns on it. She was originally a disbeliever of fortune-telling, but seeing Sha Chao interested in it, she had no reason to object it. "Little mister, can you predict my origin?" Sha Chao handed over 10 spirit stones. "Interesting, neither of you are cultivators from this world, but are from another one." The little fortune teller revealed a playful smile. "You are a god transformation stage cultivator, while your companion is even stronger, she's a real dragon. You both came from another world to this one, first going to the 4 seas to learn the real dragon art, studying the power and knowledge contained in the bloodline of the real dragon. After that you traveled around, visited places like the White Marsh Emperor's dynasty, the beast-taming sect to learn how cultivators and demon tribes coexist, planning to integrate this essence into your own world." Without needing to ask, people could tell by Sha Chao's expression whether the little fortune teller's predictions were accurate. What surprised people was not only the accuracy of the fortune teller, but also the fact that these two people actually came from another world and that the one with the dragon horns was a real dragon. A real dragon from another world. Xiao Xiao revealed her dragon eyes, trying to see through the depth of the little fortune teller, but unfortunately, nothing was gained. But this was normal as well. After coming to this world, Xiao Xiao fought with many body integration realm cultivators and deeply realized how many strong individuals were hidden among the populace, so it was only natural for her to not see through some people. "Can I also have my fortune read?" Xiao Xiao also wanted to give it a try. "Of course, Sha Chao is Sha Chao and you are you. Both of you have 1 chance each." The little fortune teller nonchalantly revealed Sha Chao's name. "I wonder if I can become as powerful as Mr. Zhong Li." Xiao Xiao admired Zhong Li. No need to calculate that, there's no chance. Choose another question. The little fortune teller waved his hand. Quote, then could you help me calculate when Sha Chao and I will get married? Ahem, Xiao, don't ask such questions. Sha Chao blushed. The little fortune teller rolled his eyes. You two are already a couple. Whenever you decide to get married, you can. Xiao and Sha Chao felt uncomfortable under the gaze of the little fortune teller. It felt as if they had no secrets before him, even the matter about their marriage was known to him. Moreover, judging by the fortune teller's expression, it didn't seem like he merely knew, it was more like he had witnessed it himself. Is this little mister really a descendant of the Blue Void Mountain? A bystander was amazed by the magic performed by the little fortune teller. Zhang Li and Yu Yin saw through everything, they just smiled and shook their heads. Bai Hongtu snorted. The tale that Blue Void Mountain can tell fortunes is exaggerated. Originally, Blue Void Mountain claimed they could observe heavenly phenomena at night, compute fate, and fooled a lot of people with their vague words. When they couldn't deceive people any longer, they announced their seclusion in the mountains. In reality, they just changed their name to Observing Stars Sect, stopped fortune-telling and only observed stars. Later on, the Observing Stars Sect changed its name to Observing Mahayana Sect. It gained some prosperity and fooled many people into joining them. Bai Hongtu revealed a secret. Little mister, could you calculate when I will become the human emperor? Zhang Li sat down with a smile, wanting to get his fortune read. Uncle Zhang. The little fortune teller was surprised and recognized Zhang Li at first sight. It's me, Kong, where is your father? In reality, there was no fortune teller at all, it was just Ji Kong, who was using the powers of time to see clearly into the past. Father Emperor said I should participate in the birth of the Confucian sage in his place. With Zhang Li around, Ji Kong stopped her fortune-telling antics. She had recently made advancements in the art of time and mastered the divergent eye. Now she did not need to go into the river of time to see the past and future. This made her feel playful, so she came to Gentleman's Country and set up a stall to tell fortunes. She had an artifact to conceal her identity given by Gigi which can change her appearance. Even body integration realm cultivators couldn't see through it. Mr. Zhang, Xiao and Sha Chao also recognized Zhang Li. This is not the place to talk, let's change a place. Zhang Li led everyone to a tea house. And you, Uncle Bai. Ji Kong politely greeted. Greetings to the two seniors. Xiao and Sha Chao were nervous, they didn't dare to relax in front of Yu Yin and Bai Hongtu. Chapter 430. As a princess, Ji Kong couldn't travel alone, there were guards dressed as ordinary people, hidden around her. But with Zhang Li and two others present, even if a foreign heavenly demon showed up, it wouldn't make waves. Their guards had no place to fight, so they just waited innocently under the tea house. Did you achieve anything on 4 seas? Zhang Li asked with a smile. Xiaoqing replied respectfully. I did, I had very little knowledge about real dragon bloodlines before. There was a lot of hidden knowledge that I didn't know about. After interacting with the 4 dragon kings, I learned many things. Especially about the techniques of using different body parts and their role in battle. The 4 dragon kings are old figures who have stayed in the body integration realm for hundreds or thousands of years. Compared to them, I am far inferior in terms of battle awareness, techniques, and realm. Keep trying, there are many valuable things to learn from them. Back when I wandered around 4 seas, I also learned quite a bit from the 4 dragon kings. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin looked at Zhang Li with weird expressions on their faces. Are you referring to your experience of wandering the 4 seas, learning from the dragon kings, same as you challenging the strong ones, beating dragon princes and dragon grandsons to a pulp, and forcing the 4 dragon kings to fight against you? Sha Chao scratched his head embarrassedly. My experiences are not worth mentioning. I just accompanied Xiaoqing around, observing how the different provinces in Zhou deal with the relationship between humans and monsters. Especially the White Marsh Emperor's dynasty, I didn't expect that the monsters' way of life after gaining intelligence would be so different from the Lingxi world. Back in the day, my battles were mostly against magical beasts, but now in Zhou, it's mostly humans, which I'm not used to. I'm still adapting. Originally, in order to speed up Sha Chao's growth, Zhang Li only taught him how to fight magical beasts, and didn't teach him how to fight against humans. Human-to-human combat doesn't just require cultivation, but also combat techniques and psychological tactics. There's so much to learn. Zhang Li was naturally gifted in this aspect. This was something that Zhang Li couldn't easily teach, he could only let Sha Chao learn from battles. After being hit so many times, he would understand how to fight. The problem for both Xia Chao and Xiaoqing was their lack of experience due to their rapid progression despite their young age, which needed to be supplemented by spending more time learning. How have you been recently, Kong Kong? Not so good. The Emperor assigns me tasks every day, hoping to cultivate me into the new Zhou Emperor so that he can retire and focus on cultivation. Ji Kong Kong explained, looking troubled. Recently, if she wasn't studying state affairs, she was on her way to study more state affairs. Her siblings envied her, but she didn't feel the same way. She didn't want to be the Zhou Emperor, but she couldn't resist Gigi's will. What's the point of being the Zhou Emperor? I want to be Emperor of the humans, I want to be like Uncle Zhang. Recently, the Emperor saw that I have mastered the power of Zhang Tong and encouraged me to observe the past using it more. Initially, I was very interested in matters regarding men and women, so I used Zhang Tong to observe. But now, after watching so much, I just feel that it's more or less the same. Ji Kong Kong looked at Xiaoqing and Xia Chao. Don't worry, I've seen plenty of men and women spending the night together, you guys are not the first pair that I have looked into. Moreover, your positions are too monotonous, there's not much to watch. Among the people I have seen, you guys rank among the worst. I recommend that you go to the Union sect to study for a while. Xiaoqing and Xia Chao lowered their heads in embarrassment. This probably won't help you in finding a boyfriend, Bai Hongtu said with a strange expression. Ji Kong Kong waved her hand dismissively. What's the use of having a boyfriend? Those of the same age as me are weak, incompetent, and immature. Many of the minister's descendants within the court have shown interest in me. I rarely leave the palace, and they don't really know me. They say they like me just after one meeting, simply attracted by my appearance and status. Among those who liked Ji Kong Kong were many with handsome looks, outstanding cultivations, and good manners, but she had no interest in any of them. A regular princess might have considered political issues, but the great Zhou didn't need her to. Ji Kong Kong had enough freedom. I don't like them, but they persistently come to me. Through my Zhang Tong, I have seen that the ministers are secretly instigating their behavior. These people are very immature, always trying to create various coincidences to encounter me. Or they pretend to be casual and unrestricted by worldly conventions, trying to behave unpredictably and showing different faces, hoping to gain my attention. When I use Zhang Tong to see their past and future, I find it laughable. They don't even know that I have mastered Zhang Tong. I wonder what their reactions would be if they found out. I've rejected so many that I felt tired, so I spread the word that anyone who likes me should first defeat me. Ji Kong Kong was already a nascent soul cultivator, it was hard to find anyone of the same age who can match her. Even though the descendants of the ministers were said to have great cultivation talents and remarkable cultivation levels, that was just at the golden core stage, which was considered very good at that age. However, compared to Ji Kong Kong, they lagged too far behind. Their battles felt less like a martial contest and more like fighting against magical beasts. Ji Kong Kong's cultivation talent was on par with Bai Hong, and more than sufficient for her to become the Dao sect's prodigy. Furthermore, Ji Kong Kong was proficient in the way of time, and the Zhang Tong was of great benefit in battles. Zhang Li was certain that she was the strongest among people of her age. People are perverse, many put on a front while their actions behind the scenes are completely different. They don't practice what they preach. Ji Kong Kong displayed a maturity that didn't match her age, she seemed to have seen through life and remained indifferent to everything. Zhang Li suspected that Ji Kong Kong might really see through life one day and join Red Dust Pure Land. Ji wouldn't have time to shed tears. Zhang Li remembered that he had first met Ji in a similar state, but after being beaten up by Zhang Li several times, he returned to normal. In short, he just needed a good beating. However, Ji returning to normal was because he was there. As for Ji Kong Kong, Zhang Li really couldn't think of anyone who could defeat her. Among Zhang Li's familiar juniors, Ji Kong Kong was the youngest. Qin Luan, Luo Zhu, Luo Ying, Yu Feng were all much older than Ji Kong Kong. And even if they fought, it was unclear if they could defeat Ji Kong Kong. Zhang Li felt that since Ji has gone through this phase, he wouldn't let Ji Kong Kong continue like this. He should have his own ways, and there was no need for Zhang Li to worry exaggeratedly. Ji Kong Kong had seen the past of many people and found that Zhang Li, Yu Yin, and Bai Hongtu were the purest. They didn't have any hypocrisy and always meted out justice. Their actions made her feel at ease. She liked to stay with Zhang Li and the other two. Over the next few days, Zhang Li and the others wandered around the gentleman's country, waiting for the birthday of the saint of Confucianism. Xiaoqing and Xia Chao followed close behind, continuing to heed Zhang Li's teachings, cherishing every second spent with Zhang Li. The birth of the saint of Confucianism took place once every 1,000 years, and it was a grand event held in the gentleman's country. As the day approached, the atmosphere in the gentleman's country became more and more lively. A gigantic statue of the Confucian saint stood in the center of the gentleman's country, dressed in a scholar's robe but with an indistinguishable face. The looks of the Confucian saint were unknown to his followers. As the day of the Confucian saint's birthday grew nearer, the atmosphere in the gentleman's country became more and more lively. It was a grand occasion, with various major forces sending representatives to participate. Zhang Li, Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin, and Ji Kongkong took their seats one after another. Chapter 431. Very effective. In the past few days touring the gentleman's country, Zhang Li's biggest impression was its rigidness. People lived in a predetermined manner, and everything they said and did was according to the teachings of the Confucian sage, with very little room for freedom. It's like a carriage traveling on a main road. The main road seems wide and leads in every direction, but that's all there is. The carriage can only travel on the main road, not nearly as free as the pedestrians. Pedestrians could play around in the roadside bushes, streams in the mountains, or the open farmland. They have more freedom than the carriage. Zhang Li didn't know if the gentleman's country in the Confucian saint's mind was like this, but the gentleman's country in his mind definitely wasn't. There were too many rules in the gentleman's country. Buying something took a great deal of back-and-forth negotiation, and people's actions were strictly regulated. If one deviated from these norms, they would not be considered a gentleman. Zhang Li and the others felt that this was too troublesome. A few days of sightseeing was fine, but if they had to stay for months or years, it would be too boring. Just like the overall atmosphere of the gentleman's country, Dong Zongshu, who was about to make an appearance, was just as rigid. When Dong Zongshu appeared, he seemed more solemn, serious, and proper than ever before. He was originally a serious man, dressed meticulously and traditionally. None of the ministers of rights from the major dynasties could understand as much as he did. Just as many countries have unwritten rules that the Justice Supreme Minister should go to the Great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy for further study, the Minister of Rights must also have spent some time studying Confucianism. Dong Zongshu proceeded according to the unchanging rule of the Confucian saint's birth, orderly and without chaos. Firstly, he praised the birth of the Confucian saint. It was a happy event for all beings in the 10,000 realms that occurred due to many coincidences stacking up. Then he looked back at the legends of the Confucian saint's actions so that people could understand his greatness. Of course, Dong Zongshu did not mention the legend of the Confucian saint asking the Taoist ancestor for guidance. Following this, he described the relationship between Dong Zongshu, the founder of the Confucian school, and the Confucian saint. As they were several generations apart, Dong Zongshu strove hard to align his own identity with the saint's. Zhang Li had to admire Dong Zongshu's imagination. Originally, Zhang Li thought Ji's opening speech at the martial arts conference was boring enough, but he hadn't expected someone to be more boring. It was to be expected. Ji's opening speech was prepared by the Department of Rights, and those in the Department of Rights all had spent time in Confucianism. Given the connection, it was normal for it to be boring. After the long recollections, it was time for a carefully prepared performance, such as poetry recitals and drama performances. Was the performance on the stage enjoyable? Yes, it was. Did it reflect the cultural depth of the Kyushu continent? Absolutely. But it was just so boring. If Bai Hongtu went to the stage to perform a personal comedy routine. Zhang Li suddenly realized there was something wrong with his train of thought. Zhang Li glared at Bai Hongtu furiously, convinced that prolonged company with such idiots had influenced his thinking. Bai Hongtu looked innocent, not knowing why Zhang Li was staring at him with such wide eyes. Pure Heart, you're here too. Zhang Li casually noticed the sacred woman, Pure Heart, with Bai Hongtu between them. Pure Heart nodded in agreement, her voice as faint as a mosquito's. I'm here on behalf of Red Dust. Gathering courage, Pure Heart started a conversation. Zhang Li, what do you think of the Confucian performances? Quite boring. Considering that this was Confucian territory, no matter how low he kept his voice, all the practitioners in the body integration realm would be able to hear him, so Zhang Li opted for telepathic communication, audible only to Pure Heart. I feel the same way. Life in the Red Dust may be plain, but we have books to keep us company, which is better than watching a performance, she replied. Initially, Pure Heart was a bit annoyed since she had been sent here by her master. Her master must have known that the Confucian performances were boring, which is why she was sent here. But when she saw Zhang Li, she felt that the trip was worthwhile. What book have you been reading lately? Zhang Li was curious. He didn't remember Pure Heart having a keen interest in reading. In his memory, Pure Heart in the red dust was either playing games, practicing cultivation, or staying in her room for half a day after hearing that he was visiting. There were very few times when she was reading. Pure Heart hesitated to admit that she was reading the novel she wrote. It's a book about the Mahayana realm. Zhongli thought it was a book about her cultivation experiences, so he joked, why not just say you're reading a book about me? Getting Zhongli's approval, Pure Heart showed a happy smile. Yes, reading a book about you. Speaking of her own novel, the dominant Mahayana fell in love with me. Pure Heart had a mix of feelings. Initially, she was worried that her writing wasn't good, so she anonymously printed and distributed copies to all the disciples in the red dust, one for each person, to see their reaction. The reaction was excellent. Everyone fell in love with Zhongli after reading the book. Why did I create more rivals for myself? Pure Heart felt an impulse to find Gigi and send herself back to a few years ago. Pure Heart secretly asked Su Wei if there was a potion for regret. Su Wei looked at her strangely, saying there was no such potion, but there was a potion that could make one forget their regrets, which was almost the same thing. Naturally, Pure Heart didn't take it. This person looks somewhat unfamiliar. Zhongli noticed a stranger sitting at their table. He was only at the nascent soul stage and seemed to be quite old. The stranger replied respectfully, "Greetings, human emperor. I am the monarch of the gentleman's country." Zhongli understood. This was the gentleman's country, so of course, the monarch had to sit at the main seat. Bai Hong asked, "Given your low cultivation level, how did you become the monarch of the gentleman's country?" "Greetings, Sect Master Bai. The gentleman's country does not rank people based on their strength, but according to their character. Although I admit I'm far from meeting the standards of the gentleman set by the Confucian saint, everyone asked me to be the monarch." "You look familiar. Are you Dong Zongshu's junior fellow?" Yu Yin seemed to recognize the monarch of the gentleman's country. "Greetings, Empress. Dong Zongshu is my senior fellow." Bai Hong looked surprised. With his mediocre talent, how could he become Dong Zongshu's junior fellow? As if to address Bai Hong's curiosity, the monarch of the gentleman's country said, "Our master only looked at our temperament when selecting disciples, not how talented we were. I was lucky enough to catch our master's eye. Considering your status in the Confucian school, it should be easy for you to get some resources to help you cultivate," Zhongli commented. The monarch of the gentleman's country said shamefully, "I'm just average. How dare I waste the rare resources that my senior fellows have painstakingly accumulated? You're just creating trouble for yourself and for others. You're only at the nascent soul stage, with no more than a few hundred years to live. Do you intend to simply pass away when your lifespan runs out, leaving Dong Zongshu deeply sorrowed?" The great Confucian word post always spoke candidly, without mincing words. "Of all the people in Confucianism, you're the most rigid. Even Dong Zongshu isn't as difficult as you." "Greetings, great Confucian word post," the monarch of the gentleman's country said, bowing respectfully. "Here we go again. Every time you see me, you have to go through this tiresome ritual. Do you find it meaningful?" "It's the custom. You're stubborn and won't listen. Do as you please." The great Confucian was at his wits' end dealing with the monarch of the gentleman's country. Chapter 432, Topic. The great Confucian word post also found the show boring, so it tore a page from its own body, folded it into a small boat, and played with it. "Is it fun to play with your own body?" Zhongli curiously asked as he watched the great Confucian word post enjoying its little game. "What's the difference between me playing with my paper and you humans twiddling your fingers and toes when you're bored?" it retorted. Zhongli felt his thinking was still too narrow, unable to see things from the great Confucian word post's perspective. He needed to reflect. "Can I ask a favor of the human emperor?" The great Confucian word post tucked the boat-sized page back, asking seriously. "What is it? Do you remember when Tianyin initiated us, Brother Vansh created a spatial passage to send us, the several immortal artifacts, to different worlds, and you, Emperor, using your wondrous spatial techniques, dragged us back?" "Yes, I do." Zhongli recalled that he had used the system store to buy back all the immortal artifacts. That was the system's most glorious moment. I heard that the extraterritorial demons want to destroy all the worlds. At the time, I was unaware of this. When I saw the world I traveled to at peace, I didn't think much of it. Now I wonder if there's a hidden move by the extraterritorial demons that I didn't notice. Zhongli's expression turned serious. After bringing the Vansh Tower back, a series of events occurred which made him forget about the 4 unknown realms that he hadn't visited yet. These 4 realms couldn't have escaped the Immortal Realms plot. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin, hearing this, also remembered the 4 unknown realms. Looking at each other, all three saw the regret in each other's eyes. It's normal for the Emperor, with all his responsibilities, to forget. But you guys shouldn't worry. We discussed our cross-world experiences during our Immortal Artifacts gathering. Those worlds are still relatively peaceful and not as tragic as in the Mingjiang world. The three were silent, not only considering these few worlds, but also the countless worlds surrounded by the Immortal Realms plot. They decided to help any world they could. After the performance ended, Zhongli called on all the representatives who had partaken in the event. I'll be convening a conference in the Imperial Palace in 10 days to discuss matters related to other realms. I will send someone to inform you all of the specific agenda. The participating representatives felt a chill, having not expected a JoJo conference to be called again. This was no small matter. The last JoJo conference was about the residual issues the celestial-level extraterritorial devils had left in JoJo. After that conference, they no longer had to worry about attacks from the extraterritorial devils. Various ideas and competitions had arisen, producing cultivation techniques and methods that they had never even thought of before. JoJo had truly entered a new era. That conference could even be said to have made history. They wondered what they would be discussing now. Suppressing their various thoughts, they all answered in unison. Yes. Zhongli then contacted the leader of the tree spirits, Lu, using his remote communication talisman. Lu, we're holding a JoJo conference 10 days from now. Prepare for it and tell your guardians to notify all forces with practitioners at the body integration stage. Lu was startled. This is so sudden, what's the agenda? The topic is how to deal with the relationship between the JoJo world and the 10,000 realms. More precisely, how to use JoJo's power to help those worlds that are slowly dying. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin looked unsurprised. When they heard the Great Confucian Word Post express its desire to go to other worlds and Zhongli's subsequent announcement of the JoJo conference, they could guess what Zhongli planned to do. After discussing some matters with Lu, Zhongli put away the remote communication talisman. The Great Confucian Word Post also understood the weight of the JoJo conference. It didn't expect that its casual comment would prompt Zhongli to convene the JoJo conference. Emperor, isn't this overkill? We're just going back to check things out. If we find traces of the extraterritorial demons' plots, we should be capable of handling it ourselves. Zhongli shook his head. Actually, I've been thinking about this since I encountered the Mingjiang world. I just never found the right opportunity. With all the recent events, I felt it was time to tackle this issue, and your matter was just a trigger. If we're going to resolve the problems the extraterritorial demons have left in the 10,000 realms, then just relying on you few immortal artifacts might not be enough. You can only use things related to your own laws. You're more flexible, but like Mount Heshan and the Dragon Ball, their characteristics are guaranteed hits and unbeatable defense, both combat skills which are useless in other worlds. Not to mention, you immortal artifacts are unique, even divine senses can't be mobilized in your presence. So how can you detect the plots of the extraterritorial demons? Don't worry, for JoJo this is not a burden. If I'm not mistaken, many forces in JoJo would be willing to lend their powers and help. The Great Confucian Word Post relaxed. Zhongli omitted to mention that his initial plan was to complete all the system tasks, assemble the stairway to immortality, ascend to the immortal realm, find a group of like-minded immortals and save the 10,000 realms together. After all, traversing worlds, crossing the void, dealing with the extraterritorial demons' issues, the stronger the better. Zhongli thought that even in the ruthless immortal world, there should be a few exceptions such as the righteous old immortal. But it seems like it's not feasible now. The extraterritorial demons are immortals themselves, so there's no hope of the immortal realm saving people. As things are developing, JoJo might even have to start a war with the immortal realm. It's better to rely on JoJo to save the 10,000 realms. With everything ready and the time ripe, it is time. Zhongli called over Sha Chao and Little Green, then mentioned the JoJo conference. This conference also involves your worlds. Little Green, as the king of Lingxi world, you will be the Lingxi world's representative at the JoJo conference. Yes, Luo Ying and Luo Zhu from the zombie world are easily contacted. So is Yu Feng from the ancient world. The same goes for Ming Zhang. Now you can see a lot of tech products in the JoJo world, all bought from the Ming Zhang world. So, there's only Ring Universe left. Zhongli did some thinking. Among the worlds he had visited, only the Ring Universe was yet to be checked on. The 12 heavenly kings had tampered with the history of the Ring Universe. Bu Jing, the pinnacle figure of martial arts, enlightened the Yellow Emperor's canon of the outer landscape, reaching the realm of the outer landscape, which was equivalent to divinity transformation stage. Zhang Li hoped Bu Jing would temporarily avoid immortality and focus on martial arts. If he could take it a step further, break through the outer landscape, achieve a higher realm, and establish a complete martial arts system, he wouldn't be assimilated by the path of immortality when exposed to JoJo. The path of immortality is more tempting to people than the scriptures of Confucian or Buddhist teachings. It directly reflects the great Tao of longevity. If martial arts and immortality are put together, there are definitely more people choosing to cultivate immortality than to practice martial arts. Zhang Li was afraid that Bu Jing might waver and change his ways, waste his martial arts talent and opt for cultivation. Cultivation accepts existing achievements, which is far simpler than the painstaking reflection it takes to create new realms of martial arts. So many years have passed, I don't know how the Ring Universe world is doing, and what stage Bu Jing has reached in his enlightenment. Are you two going? Zhang Li turned and asked Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin. They had visited the Ring Universe world together in the past. Of course we are. Chapter 433. Continuing where we left off, our Ring Universe was ruled with ruthless, bloody hands by the 12 false immortals who tampered with history. These despicable beings denigrated the origins of martial arts, disrupted our traditions and training, shattered our warriors' beliefs, and replaced our martial arts with the life-burning method, causing our people's lifespans to diminish drastically and triggering resentment. However, the universe is inevitably imbued with divine intentions. These 12 false immortals, after all, are false and they cannot contend with the divine will. For the sake of continuing their oppressive rule, the 12 false immortals shamelessly proclaimed themselves to be celestial emissaries from the upper realm. Yet, they were oblivious to the fact that such an arrogant claim would offend the true emissaries of the upper realm. 300 years ago, the Martial Arts Alliance hierarch had 2 sons. The elder one is our ancestor of the Scenery Kingdom, Bu Jing, and the younger one is our current revered ruler. Both were heaven-sent prodigies, favored by the divine. At the height of the 12 false immortals' atrocity, ancestor Bu Jing persevered through the humiliation, cultivating in solitude for centuries, solely dedicated to overthrowing the false immortals to restore the just world of our Ring Universe. In his early years, our revered ruler accidentally entered the upper realm, where he encountered the genuine divine beings. The upper realm is filled with formidable beings capable of effortlessly controlling weather, and even manipulating stars at will. Above these great capabilities, there exist 3 divine beings. Upon hearing the revered ruler's recount of the 12 false immortals exploiting the upper realm's name, dragging our Ring Universe into turmoil, these 3 divine beings were enraged. In the first year of the Great Scenery Era, divine beings descended upon our realm, granting ancestor Bu Jing extraordinary opportunities. Bu Jing, sensing the divine might, read the stars and immersed himself in the limitless expanse of the universe. A spark of enlightenment lit his soul, leading him to pen the external scenery. On the loftiest peaks among men, he achieved the state of external scenery, reaching a new level that the ancients never attained. After reaching the state of external scenery, Bu Jing challenged the 12 false immortals who were terrified and accepted his challenge. Bu Jing was unparalleled in martial arts. He defeated each of the 12 false immortals who fell successively, their severed heads left in his wake. Eventually, Bu Jing purged the falsehood, restoring the just world of our Ring Universe. Our current revered ruler established the Scenery Kingdom, thus signaling the start of an age of martial arts. The storyteller strikes his gavel, hence began the prosperous era of great scenery. The crowd below cheered, showering the stage with gold, silver, jewels, and other treasures. May I ask, sir, what are the names of these 3 divine beings, and where did they go off to? The story of Bu Jing defeating the 12 false immortals is well known, with the biggest mystery being the 3 beings from the upper realm. I know very little about the personal names of the divine beings and I dare not speak more than that. However, I can share this with you. What is it? One of the divine beings is known as the Human Emperor. As for the others, I should not speak further. The crowd gasped in surprise. Considering there is an upper realm, it's unlikely that the Ring Universe is the only lower realm. With so many human races in the lower realm, and the presence of a human emperor in the upper realm, this title is truly daunting. He must be the emperor who unifies all human races in the lower realm. The storyteller sips his tea, moistens his throat, barely glancing at the treasures at his feet, and continues, after the Scenery Kingdom was established, many martial arts prodigies emerged. Some of them have also reached the external scenery state. These included the Mansion Master of the Sword-Washing Manor, the Pavilion Master, and more. Feeling greatly superior, they sought to challenge Bu Jing for his title of the world's first, thus sending him challenge letters. Bu Jing readily accepted the challenge, agreeing to meet on a dark and stormy night. Considering the prowess of these 6 martial arts masters, one would expect a groundbreaking, earth-shaking battle that would shock the world. Yet, strangely enough, there were no disturbances that night, not even a hint of unrest. No one knew the outcome of that ultimate duel. The 5 contender masters who came after never mentioned this battle, and ceased their reckless claims to the #1 martial arts title. There is a rumor that Bu Jing has transcended the external scenery state and reached a new realm, making it easy to suppress the 5 external scenery masters. As for the authenticity of this rumor, who knows? Only Bu Jing himself could clarify this. Upon reaching that point, the storyteller regretfully shook his head. The realm that Bu Jing, the guardian deity of the scenery kingdom, has ascended to is the second biggest secret after the 3 divine beings' names and origins. Upon hearing this, Zhang Li and his companions stood up to leave. Only a few years had passed, but the Ring universe had already undergone earth-shaking changes. The people's spirits and vitality were far better than before. People used to practice the life-burning martial arts. Though everyone was a martial artist, the price they paid was living only about 30 to 40 years. After the establishment of the scenery kingdom, people started to practice new martial arts, which extended their lifespan. Having seen a world where everyone in the 9 continents was a practitioner, Bu Jing decided to become the king of scenery. He wanted to consolidate martial arts resources, optimize distribution, and do all he could to improve the quality of martial artists. Bu Jing also adopted policies of light taxation and resting with the people to ease the burden on the people. The scenery kingdom was thriving. Bu Jing is close to the next realm with just one more insight. He should be near. The 3 of them arrived outside the royal palace and observed, using their divine sense, that Bu Jing was on the verge of a breakthrough. Bu Jing's cultivating speed is a bit fast. Although it's slightly faster, it's within reasonable limits. Rather than saying he progressed rapidly in these few years, it's better to say that he spent 300 years accumulating knowledge, and thoroughly understood all martial arts before advancing. This is not the result of a few years of cultivation, but the result of 300 years of accumulation. The 3 of them strolled around the palace. The imperial guards, eunuchs, and palace maids couldn't see them. Bu Jing, you are doing a good job as an emperor. They arrived at the Yangxin Hall to meet Abubu, who was practicing horse stance while reviewing memos. Practicing martial arts while dealing with official duties, this is truly a first. Bai Hongtu laughed and found Abubu's posture rather odd. The martial arts of the Ring universe were divided into post-celestial martial artists, pre-celestial martial artists, grandmasters, unparalleled among men, and external scenery. A few years ago, Abubu was just a post-celestial martial artist. Now he is a pre-celestial martial artist, and not too far from becoming a grandmaster. You need to understand that there are no shortcuts in martial arts, it can't be upgraded by merely taking pills or soaking in medicated baths. Martial artists need to train diligently, using countless drops of sweat and persistence to achieve results. Abubu, who became emperor, did not neglect politics, nor did he neglect martial arts. One can imagine how much effort he put in. 3 seniors. Abubu was thrilled to see the 3 of them. The imperial guards who saw 3 sudden visitors suspected them to be assassins and prepared to attack, but were stopped by Abubu. Stand down, these 3 are the mighty beings who came with me to the Ring universe to kill the 12 heavenly kings. They are the 3 divine beings you've heard about in the storytelling events. The imperial guards, shocked initially, looked at the 3 men with reverence. They wanted to gaze upon the 3 longer, but, forced by the order of the emperor, they had to withdraw. Before closing the door, they took one last look. Quite impressive. Bu Jing was rather embarrassed by Zhang Li's observation, Mr. Zhang, please stop teasing me. Speaking of this, I'm afraid my brother is stuck in some sort of dilemma and can't find a solution. Could you 3 possibly help him? Zhang Li looked in the direction where Bu Jing was cultivating in seclusion and smiled, he has already broken through. Over at the place where Bu Jing was in seclusion, the wind blew and clouds swirled. Chapter 434, Immortal upon meeting the divine. As it turned out, Abu's concern was superfluous. Bu Jing hadn't fallen into any predicament, he was still slowly and methodically breaking through. It's just that the time required to break through to the next realm was too long. In the past, Bu Jing didn't spend so much time in seclusion, leading Abu to misunderstand as if Bu Jing was encountering issues in his martial arts practice. The moment Bu Jing broke through, the skies in the Ring universe turned from day to night, pitch black. Stars dotted here and there, relieved the darkness somewhat. 5 external world martial artists gazed upward, their faces etched with astonishment. They discovered that these stars were elusive, like some kind of phenomenon, and the arrangements of the stars seemed very familiar. These stars correspond to the 720 acupuncture points of the human body, exclaimed one of the external world martial artists. He was too familiar with the positions of these stars. Becoming an external world martial artist meant aligning one's body's acupuncture points with the celestial stars. These 720 points were crucially important. And yet, breaking through to the external world would never create such a spectacle. Bu Jing truly has far surpassed us on the path of martial arts. How foolish it was of us to belittle Bu Jing under the presumption that later comers always rise above their predecessors. This external world martial artist felt shame in his heart. The night, like a tide, swept in swiftly and receded equally as quick. The encompassing darkness, along with the starlight, poured into Bu Jing's body. So this is the realm beyond the external world, the Taoist body of the universe, the inclusion of stars in one's body, an external world martial artist muttered, enraptured by this magnificent spectacle. Bu Jing had shut down all his senses, leaving only his consciousness active. Yet, he could still see the outside world clearly. Every blade of grass, every tree, every mountain, every river, every movement, everything was clearly visible. He could even perceive the initial disharmony within his body. From the outside, Bu Jing appeared to be still. However, from the inside, one would see that his muscles, bones, joints, blood vessels, and so on were all making minute adjustments to attain the optimal state suitable for him. The internal injuries he suffered during his breakthrough were also healing at a tremendously fast pace. I have comprehended all things, leaving no imperfections or omissions, and brought my body to perfection. This realm shall be named Divine Invulnerability. Bu Jing murmured to himself, smiling as he stood up to face Abu. Through his consciousness, he saw Abu approaching alone. Yet when Bu Jing opened his eyes, what he saw wasn't just Abu, but also Zhong Li and 2 others. How embarrassing! He just boasted about comprehending all things, and yet, he couldn't see 3 people. Zhong Li and the 2 others looked at him with smirks concealed within their expressions. It wasn't Bu Jing's fault. The 3 of them had intentionally concealed their auras to avoid Bu Jing's detection. Well done. You've taken another step forward in your martial arts path. Having practiced to this point, you must have already established a comprehensive martial arts system, Zhong Li said, lightly applauding. Yu Yin nodded faintly. The Ring universe valued pure physical combat. It was valuable for reference. After the world develops for a while longer, she could learn martial arts from it to enhance her close combat capabilities. Bu Jing, living for 300 years, quickly pretended not to be embarrassed. Yes, I have established a fairly comprehensive martial arts system. I also have a vague idea about the next realm, but I'm not sure how many years it will take to reach it. There's no rush to break through. The martial arts system you've founded must still have many gaps. Taking your time to fill them in before breaking through is also feasible, Zhong Li suggested. Let's spar. Show me how strong you've become. Bu Jing clenched his fists. I dare not disobey your orders, Senior Zhang. However, if I were to use my full power now, I'm afraid I could shatter the continent. Could we go to space to test my skills? That's how it should be, Zhong Li agreed. With a spring in his legs, Bu Jing broke free from the constraint of gravity and entered space. Upon reaching the divine invulnerability realm, he could complete internal circulation, eliminating the need for oxygen. Bu Jing launched a punch, as mighty as a falling star, its force heavy and immense. Before it could even reach Zhong Li, it was halted by an invisible barrier. Zhong Li didn't block the punch directly. Instead, he diverted the force contained within the punch, making it strike a planet. The planet instantly exploded. This punch is not bad. A body cultivation practitioner at the initial stage of the body integration realm would have about this level of strength, Zhong Li critiqued nonchalantly. Again, I won't use the barrier this time. Gathering all his strength, Bu Jing was determined to bring out his best form to display to Zhong Li. His techniques were exquisite. He absorbed the essence and discarded the unnecessary from hundreds of martial arts styles. Coupled with his own understanding, he elevated his family's martial arts technique, heaven-supporting pillars, to new heights. His 4 limbs were like pillars, supporting the heavens and the earth, standing strong and unyielding. Good, very good, Zhong Li said, effortlessly diffusing Bu Jing's techniques. Through their spar, he understood what kind of martial arts system Bu Jing had established. There was still space for perfection. But now that the martial arts system had been established to this stage, there was no longer a need to worry about it being interfered with by cultivation systems. "Let's go back," said Zhang Li. Before Bu Jing could react, he was already back where they had started. Bu Jing was somewhat disappointed. He had originally thought that he would narrow the gap between him and Zhang Li after breaking through to the divine invulnerability realm. But now it seemed there was still an immense distance between them. "I was originally contemplating whether or not to let you participate in the JoJo conference. However, now that you've reached the divine invulnerability realm, it appears I don't have to worry about that anymore." The JoJo conference. The brothers had never heard of this conference, but from Zhang Li's expression, it seemed that this conference held great potential benefits for them. Zhang Li gave a brief explanation of the JoJo conference and the agenda for this gathering. The brothers understood the weight of this meeting. This was an excellent opportunity for the Ring Universe and Tenjo world to establish diplomatic relations. The 10 days passed quickly, and, amid intense public attention, the much-anticipated JoJo conference was convened. Over 100 factions attended the conference, all led by martial artists of the body integration realm. There were far more than these body integration realm cultivators in Tenjo. Many factions had multiple such cultivators, but only representatives were sent. There was much interaction amongst body integration realm cultivators. Those who attended the conference were all somewhat acquainted with each other. Some were even old rivals or friends. On this occasion, several new faces appeared amongst the body integration realm cultivators. Zhang Li stood up and condensed the lengthy opening speech, prepared meticulously by Captain Liu, into a few succinct sentences before he declared the commencement of the conference. "I trust you've all received the topic materials that were distributed by the Imperial Palace. Yes, the topic of this conference is to discuss how to manage the relationship between Tenjo world and other worlds. Before we discuss this issue, allow me to introduce the representatives from the other worlds. This person everyone should be familiar with, President Ming Zhang from the Ming Zhang world. I know you all enjoy purchasing goods from the Ming Zhang world. These two are the saviors of the zombie world, siblings Luo Ying and Luo Zhu. Do not belittle them simply because their cultivation level isn't high. They are the students I personally trained, and I have high hopes for them. These two are from the Ring Universe, the highest combatant, Bu Jing, and the supreme ruler, Bu Dong. You all may not be familiar with the Ring Universe yet. It is a martial arts world that doesn't use spiritual energy but instead tempers the body to its limits. Currently, Bu Jing has cultivated his body to the divine invulnerability realm, and his power is about equal to that of the body integration realm. These two are the administrators of the ancient world, Yu Feng and his senior sister Wu Lian. They are currently touring and studying in Tenjo. Due to certain changes that took place, the ancient world only has ordinary people, and these two are the only cultivators. The pair with the close relationship are Xiaoqing and her boyfriend, Xia Chao, from Lingxi world. In Lingxi world, humans and beasts coexist. Xiaoqing, being a true dragon, claimed Lingxi world as her territory. This is the leader and the director of the Supernatural Bureau from Weijiu world. These two respectively represent the common humans and the supernatural beings of Weijiu world, a world where a small portion of the population possesses superpowers. After the brief introductions by Zhang Li, a pause and a brief survey of the room, he declared, "I now proclaim that the JoJo conference begins." The crowd erupted into applause. Chapter 435, 3 Principles. 10 years ago, with the opening of a space channel by the Brahma Tower, allowing other immortal artifacts to venture to other worlds, our JoJo world began to formally engage with the countless worlds of the universe. The Ming Zhang world was the first to make contact with our JoJo world. The countless worlds narrate different historical stories, nurtured dissimilar cultures and thus, have formed manifold and diverse situations. You all have, to varying degrees, some understanding of the Ming Zhang world. You know that its developmental trajectory is starkly different from ours. Upon uttering these words, they all nodded. Indeed, without mentioning anything else, let's just take the automated low-level talisman production machine that the Dao sect and the Ming Zhang continent co-developed. It managed to decrease the price for low-level talismans to such an extent that even mortals could afford them. These advanced cultivators among them had played with the holographic simulator, truly a miraculous device able to fulfill any fantasy. The only regrettable aspect was the time constraint on the holographic simulator. Science and technology have taken root in JoJo, gradually integrating with the cultivation system. Though we are now only seeing the beginnings, I believe that in the not-too-distant future, thanks to technological advances, everyone's lives will keep getting better and better. And this is merely the consequence of communication with a single world. Over these 10 years, during my travels with several friends, we discovered the Corpse World, Ring Universe, Ancient World, Lingxi World, and Wei Kingdom respectively. Each of these worlds has its unique characteristics, with plenty for us to learn. Considering the independence of each world, cultural impact, and other societal stability issues, so far JoJo has only formally established diplomatic relations with the Corpse World. Here is the diplomatic agreement called Bilateral Friendly Treaty, and you all can take a look. Zhang Li projected the agreement text onto the center of the round table and continued, "From now on, when establishing relations with other worlds, we will use this as our reference. Presently, the heavenly demons from beyond our domain are covetously eyeing our countless worlds. Even though the immortal realm is indifferent, our JoJo world might not be as powerful, but we still hold our own against these heavenly demons. However, these worlds are barely managing against the threat of these beyond domain heavenly demons. I have conducted several years of research and verification in these worlds, finding that the beyond domain heavenly demons fear sentient beings' willpower and hence dare not directly destroy the world. They will use a different strategy for each world. In the previous JoJo meeting, we thoroughly cleansed the multiple secret plots the heavenly demons had laid here. For other worlds, the strategy used by the heavenly demons was to incite internal strife and let those worlds die a slow death. The specifics of our survey and validation process have been included in the jade pendants distributed before the meeting. I believe you've seen them. Currently, only Zhang Li, Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin, and Immortal Elder Cheng Kun know that the beyond domain heavenly demons are no different from immortals. Zhang Li isn't planning to let JoJo's high-ranking officials learn about this yet. Even though I managed to decipher the plot of the beyond domain heavenly demons, nothing is absolute. There might be conspiracies that I've not yet uncovered, or perhaps the heavenly demons might launch another attack that could put these worlds under catastrophic circumstances. Morally, as fellow humans, we should help each other. Logically, these worlds each have their unique features. We can conduct exchanges, spur each other's improvement, and develop together. Development is predicated on stability, and stability is predicated on the absence of interference from beyond domain heavenly demons. To this end, I propose that we from JoJo should contribute our strength to assist these worlds to address the threat of the heavenly demons. The Tao sect supports the human emperor's decision. The Buddhism sect supports the human emperor's decision. Body incorporating sect, Zhou dynasty, Tian Yuan. Red Dust Pure Land. Representatives of each power expressed their support for Zhang Li, eventually leading to a consensus within the JoJo world to protect other worlds comprehensively and propel mutual development. Despite JoJo's extensive lands and abundant resources, there's fierce competition among countless talents. It's not enough to rely on strength alone, especially when everyone possesses similar capabilities. What truly distinguishes people is their intellect. Rather than developing in JoJo, it would be better to expand their influence to other worlds. The corpse driving sect is the most classic example. The few powers in good relations with the corpse driving sect got wind of the news. They heard that the corpse driving sect had already settled in the corpse world and was gradually reducing the prices of buying corpses. It's a well-known fact that the corpse driving sect lacks corpses. To address this, they advertised year-round and racked their brains to collect corpses, consuming a vast number of spirit stones. But in the corpse world, zombies are everywhere, it's a natural resource. The corpse driving sect thrive there, and it's foreseeable that their overall power will rise several levels. It's enough to make others green with envy. The Mingzhang world agrees to the JoJo decision. The corpse world agrees to the JoJo decision. The Ring universe agrees to the JoJo decision. The ancient world agrees to the JoJo decision. The Lingxi world agrees to the JoJo decision. The Wei kingdom agrees to the JoJo decision. Zhang Li nodded contentedly, which meant the consensus had been reached among 7 worlds. Zhang Li addressed the representatives of the 6 worlds. This is the Mutual Aid Convention, drafted on my request by the Zhou dynasty. Please take a look. The convention was composed of a preamble and 108 clauses across 21 chapters. Ming Zhang recited softly, create a suitable environment, maintain justice, respect all worlds, persevere endlessly, promote societal progress. To achieve this goal, practice forgiveness, treat each other in a good neighborly fashion, get along harmoniously, concentrate strengths to maintain peace and security for all worlds. Following the preamble, there were 3 principles. The principle of peace. Maintain peace and security among all worlds, and take effective measures to prevent and eliminate threats to peace, suppress acts of aggression, or other methods of disruption that violate peace. The principle of equality. All worlds are equal in status and have the rights to handle their own internal affairs. The principle of cooperation. Encourage cooperation among all worlds in addressing cross-world issues related to economics, society, culture and the well-being of the living. The rest largely pertains to the implementation of these 3 principles. The last clause stated, the original of this convention should be kept in the imperial archives of the JoJo World's Imperial Palace, with copies left in each world. Several world representatives, like Luo Ying, are still young, lacking vision and standing. They couldn't quite understand the underlying humanity's care within this agreement. Only Ming Zhang and the leader of the Wei Kingdom realized that Zhang Li was making every effort to consider their feelings and secure their rights. In terms of comprehensive power, even if these worlds were combined, they would not be able to hold up against any of the 6 major sects, let alone the entire JoJo world. Zhang Li was worried that after establishing official relations, some JoJo powers might despise the 6 worlds. Therefore, he decided to publish the Mutual Aid Convention in front of representatives of all powers. The idea was to declare his stance and attitude. Rather than calling it a convention, it's better to say it's an amulet safeguarding the independence of their respective worlds. Zhang Li added, specific implementation details like the locations of space channels and their managers, standards for taxes on goods circulating between worlds, and so on will be progressively perfected. On June 7, 4810, by the Yan calendar, 7 worlds jointly signed this historic, Mutual Aid Convention, which came into effect on the same day. Chapter 436, Defense Talisman and Summoning Talisman. Gigi was not surprised by the representatives from various worlds signing the general guideline. He had foreseen this outcome with his psychic double pupil. Indeed, this guideline had been drafted by Gigi, and Zhang Li was only responsible for review and approval. Signing the general guideline brought a sense of satisfaction in Gigi's heart. Zhang Li used a spell to create 6 copies of the guideline and handed them over to the representatives, which they cherished immensely and stored with great care. They planned to preserve these copies as crucial relics of their respective worlds, either under strict custody or in history museums. Zhang Li continued, now we are moving on to the second item on the agenda, the plan for exploring the 4 unknown worlds. 10 years ago, Fan Fan Tower opened 6 spatial passages, corresponding to 6 worlds. I have already explored Mingzhang world and the zombie world, leaving 4 more worlds yet to be explored. After all, I am just a single person with limited abilities. There are many more worlds awaiting our discovery, and it's inevitable that those in attendance today will join me in the exploration going forward. Everyone realized this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The 4 unknown worlds represented infinite possibilities. Those who venture into these worlds first would have the advantage and establish amicable relations with the locals. In the future, if JoJo wished to establish diplomatic relations with these 4 worlds, it will not be conducted as a collective exchange between the whole JoJo world, but rather, each power would stand on its own, with tacit benefits based on their previous relationships. Some people voiced their concerns. Shouldn't the exploration of worlds be handled by those in the Transcendence Tribulation stage? Unknown worlds meant unexplored opportunities and unforeseen risks. Although the greatest danger in the Mingzhang world was the body integration realm demon beast, and in the zombie world it was the 5th-rank zombies equivalent to the god transformation stage cultivators, those at the body integration realm should be able to handle them. However, exceptions always existed. They had heard rumors of a self-proclaimed heavenly monarch in the ancient world and Zhu Yan, who was at the Transcendence Tribulation stage in the Lingxi world. If they were to face an enemy at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, it would be a narrow escape from the jaws of death, even with the blessing of the human emperor. Zhang Li explained further, the sword monarch is too engrossed in his sword Dao and unwilling to be distracted. Bai Hongtu is still planning the formation of the JoJo spirit plants and cannot leave JoJo for the time being. Yu Yin, as the Empress, has her hands tied, and the leader Lu is needed to guard the Imperial Palace in my absence. Only Sect Master Li can be responsible for 1 world. The mention of the JoJo spirit plant's formation made some representatives look away, not daring to meet Zhang Li's gaze. They still vividly remembered how that brat Bai Hongtu invited them all into a video conference and discussed how they could use the JoJo spirit plant formation to thwart Zhang Li, all in front of him. Many wished they could get their hands on a forget-regret pill from Su Wei. Zhang Li, oblivious to their thoughts, continued, also, you don't need to worry. The exploration won't only involve you but also 4 immortal artifacts. Everyone was considerably relieved at this. To ensure everyone's safety to the maximum possible extent, Sect Master Bai Hongtu has customized an extraordinary defensive talisman. Once activated, not even a heavenly immortal can break the defense, and there is no time limit to its effectiveness. This revelation shocked everyone, their gaze all trained on Bai Hongtu in surprise. When did Bai Hongtu gain the proficiency to create such a formidable talisman? A talisman that grants perpetual protection at that. This was indeed invincible. Bai Hongtu wore a strange expression as he looked at Zhang Li, clearly appreciating his skill of downplaying the real complexities. Yu Yin, who was always stoic, covered her mouth and giggled. She was genuinely curious about the expressions on people's faces when they utilized this talisman. Not only has Bai Hongtu made a significant breakthrough with defensive talismans, he has also had considerable results with summoning talismans. Zhang Li took out 4 summoning talismans. These are modified from the directional summoning array into summoning talismans. They can summon the Sword Monarch, Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin. Zhang Li paused before adding, and me. His words triggered an uproar. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the 4 summoning talismans. The ability to call upon the human emperor's aid personally was a reassurance, protecting them from any enemy, even an army of extra-dimensional heavenly demons. The ones who should fear were the extra-dimensional heavenly demons themselves. Everyone's confidence soared, and they couldn't wait to take the summoning talisman and charge straight into the extra-dimensional heavenly demons' territory. There are 2 ways to use the summoning talisman. One was like how Zhang Li summoned Bai Hongtu. If the summoner's cultivation level was higher than that of the summoned, he could summon them at will. The other was like the present situation, where if the summoner's cultivation level was lower, whether the summoned appeared or not depended on whether the summoned agreed to be called upon. Zhang Li and the Sword Monarch had already agreed beforehand that they would help fend off the enemies. The Sword Monarch gladly accepted. Being summoned and getting straight to fighting was his ideal scenario. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin also accepted, although their thoughts differed from those of the Sword Monarch. Who would summon them when they could summon Zhang Li himself to help instead? With all the worries sorted out, everyone vied to be the first from Jojo to set foot in these foreign worlds. The Ruyi Gourd, Great Confucian Word Post, Dragon Ball, and Mount Hashan, you 4 are most familiar with the 4 unknown worlds. You can choose who you want to take. The Ruyi Gourd blurted out, there's no need to choose. We want the ones from the Union sect. Yu Yin gave the Ruyi Gourd a cold stare, then turned to ask Li brother Li, would you be willing to go to the unknown world with the gourd? Li was not picky about it, sure. The Ruyi Gourd felt disheartened. It had planned to choose a pleasing young lady to accompany it, but instead, a burly man with a beard like a palm frond was chosen. But it knew better than to disobey its master. The Ruyi Gourd mumbled, it can't really be called an unknown world. I at least know that there are a lot of mutant human tribes there, with animal ears and tails. Li's eyes lit up at this revelation. Great Confucian Word Post did not choose the Confucian school but instead chose the more appropriate spirit drug sect. The 4 Dragon Balls whispered a consultation and chimed in, Human Emperor, our world is most suitable for those from the Zhou dynasty to go. But can our Dragon Clan people also go there? Zhang Li could understand their bias towards their clan, which was an inherent human tendency. He replied, I didn't say that only one sect could go. The Dragon Clan can also go, but you 4 Dragon Balls can't play favorites, and entrust all the work to the Dragon Clan, delaying the resolution of the world's issues. After the matters are resolved, I will listen for you to report the situation. The 4 Dragon Balls hurriedly chipped in, naturally, of course. Wanting to show gratitude by bowing, they realized they lacked hands and instead collided with one another, ringing slightly to convey their thanks. Then it was Mount Hashan's turn. It should be the Sky Mechanism Tower. Their information gathering skills are quite impressive. The Tower Master of Sky Mechanism Tower, the man called Heavenly Destiny, accepted his offer. And the retired Pavilion Master from Tian Sha Pavilion. The Pavilion Master from Tian Sha Pavilion was caught off guard. He felt this meeting had nothing to do with him given that Tian Sha Pavilion had disappeared and he had retired, making him a mere bystander, contemplating whether he should set up a psychological counseling institution with his sister. Going to an unknown world did seem intriguing. The Pavilion Master of Tian Sha Pavilion thought this over and accepted. Zhang Li then went over some essential precautions, concluding with, that concludes our discussion on both matters. If other sects have no further proposals, we will adjourn the meeting now. Chapter 437, please ask some normal questions. Could President Ming Zhang please remove the time limit function on the holographic simulator? With this question, the people found a common frustration. The holographic simulator was fun, but the time for daily use was too short, far from satisfying. No, Zhang Li refused on behalf of Ming Zhang. The restriction of the holographic simulator's time was to prevent a situation like the collapse of civilization where all consciousness were uploaded, leading to the death of the civilization. I have a request from the corpse-driving sect. The sect master of corpse-driving sect had a pale face and fingers, a sign of long-term dealing with corpses. Go on, as long as it's not advertising. The corpse-driving sect master thanked with a bow. Can the yin-yang heaven seal also transform the bodies our corpse-driving sect refines? Our sect, influenced by our cultivation technique, has a scary appearance and a gloomy temperament. Few female cultivators like us. Next, who else has a question? Zhang Li remained expressionless, not even considering the idea of granting sentience to corpses. At first, the Luo Ying siblings thought it was a good thing for several practitioners from the corpse-driving sect to visit their world. Now it seemed, this sect was a bit perverse. The sect master of the Luban sect cast a sympathetic gaze at the corpse-driving sect master. Their brother sects were both unlucky in love. Now, only the pitiful corpse-driving sect was still struggling. The sect master of the Luban sect formed a prayer, silently thanking the yin-yang heaven seal, vowing to eternally remember its great kindness. When the Luban sect had marriages with puppets, they followed the process meticulously, bowing to heaven and earth, bowing to the ancestors, and the couple bowing to each other. They didn't slack off at all. This was their responsibility to the puppets. When they bowed to the ancestors, they were bowing to the image of the yin-yang heaven seal. Buddhism has a question. Wu Ji rarely spoke, but this caught Zhang Li's attention. What is it? Wu Ji turned to Dream Yu. Can the Union sect please not set up branches near our Buddhist domains? Unless there was no other choice, Wu Ji wouldn't have brought up this matter during the discussion in the 9 provinces. But there really was no other way. At the foot of Mount Sumeru, the Union sect had set up a branch. Wu Ji had tried to dissuade them several times, but as soon as he walked in the door, he found himself surrounded by seductive female cultivators. He barely escaped. This was impossible to dissuade. In recent years, Dream Yu expanded the Union sect's operations. She set up branches in the Great Wei Dynasty, the Dream River Dynasty, and other places, drawing frequent inspections from Emperor Wei and the Dream River Emperor. What disappointed Dream Yu was that among the 9 dynasties, only the Zhou dynasty was an exception. They couldn't operate there because the permit was not approved. The reason was that the Union sect's behavior violated 7 or 8 laws. Dream Yu stated, "Why are you all trying to control where we set up shop? We open where there is a need. The problem is, our Buddhism does not need it." Who says so? The Union sect's branch at Mount Sumeru is one of our branches with the highest revenue. Moreover, you Buddhists practice joyful Zen, which is not too different from our Union sect. Why must you resist us? With righteous indignation, Dream Yu argued her case. She was attempting to retaliate against Buddhism by setting up their preaching stage right opposite hers in the past. This was clearly Buddhism deliberately picking a fight. Dream sect master, withdraw your plans. Buddhism doesn't want to make this too ugly. Otherwise, all of our arhats and bodhisattvas will chant calming mantras, and both the disciples and guests of the Union sect will lose their desires. That won't be good for anybody. Quote. Seeing that Zhang Li had intervened, Dream Yu decided to back off. After all, she had succeeded in irritating Buddhism, her goal had been achieved, and she was satisfied. Confucianism has a matter where we would like to seek the opinion of the human emperor. What is it? The human emperor often changes his surname but not his name during his journeys among the people. I fear the 100 family surnames will not be sufficient. Does the human emperor require Confucianism to compile 1,000 family surnames? No need. The beast-controlling sect master said, I have a little daughter who is adorable. Let me show you. The beast-controlling sect master projected a holographic image of a statuesque young girl, beautiful and charming. Curious, Zhang Li asked, is there any problem? No problem, just wanted to show off. The beast-controlling sect master retracted the image. Zhang Li contemplated whether to throw the beast-controlling sect master out or kick him out. Lu division leader knocked on the door, walked into the meeting hall, whispered in Zhang Li's ear, and then left. What did Lu division leader say? Is there any urgent matter? Everyone was curious. Lu division leader was not normally one to interrupt. Why did he speak to Zhang Li at this point? Zhang Li hesitated for a moment before speaking the truth. Lu division leader requests that when you are fighting, try to be restrained. Don't arbitrarily move mountains and seas, or after the fight, put them back where they were. Otherwise, modifying the map is too troublesome. Lu division leader also said that if he found any force or faction that didn't clean up the battlefield after a fight, he would force them to draw the map of the 9 provinces. The representatives from other worlds gave sidelong glances, their expressions strange. This was indeed a problem unique to the 9 provinces. They definitely wouldn't face this kind of problem in their worlds. What they didn't know was that the 9 provinces also had problems with the weather forecast. The 9 provinces had no weather forecast. Since the weather could change according to the hobbies of the powerful beings at any time, it would be pointless. The map of the 9 provinces was drawn by the imperial palace. After the final version of the map was drawn, it was engraved on the jade pendant, mass-produced, and sold. In order to guarantee the accuracy of the map, Lu Division leader would often send people to survey, always keeping a keen eye on the landscape of the 9 provinces. Lu Division leader found that the thing that affected the landscape of the 9 provinces the most wasn't tectonic collisions, but the irresponsibility of deities and cultivators during combat. These people didn't go to space to fight, they had to do it on the mainland. After a battle, countless mountains and ranges would be destroyed, causing Lu Division leader's blood pressure to skyrocket. He decided to take advantage of this meeting to thoroughly address this problem. Li shrank his neck guiltily. Their body-incorporating sect loved to play with planets in the cosmos, changing their orbits. Fortunately, the Imperial Palace didn't need to draw star maps, otherwise their sect would be in trouble. I have a small question to ask everyone, to see if there is a solution. The East Sea Dragon King spoke. Go on. I recently had a son. He has very good cultivation talent and extremely high dragon blood purity, but there's a congenital defect holding back his development. What kind of defect? The sect master of the Ling medicine sect was curious. This was his field of expertise. Seafood allergy. Zhang Li face-palmed. These were such nonsense issues, couldn't they be discussed after the meeting? Each time he helped them solve problems at these meetings, a large pile of weird problems would come up, and rarely any formal ones. None of them were doing their jobs properly, he thought they must be bored. Zhang Li vented his frustrations inwardly. He had read the meeting records when the previous human emperors were in power. The issues solved during those meetings were all serious, like preventing massive wars between 2 countries, or resolving unending disputes between 2 sects. Why was it that when he was in charge, all these kinds of issues came up? Solving them didn't even give him a sense of accomplishment. But despite his complaints, Zhang Li still earnestly helped them solve their problems. Several days later, the 9 provinces discussion concluded, leaving Zhang Li drained. The representatives from the other worlds all stated that this meeting was an eye-opener. Chapter 438. Breaking the record for fastest task completion. After the conference, many forces approached representatives from other worlds, hoping to establish deep cooperation with them. Some of the cooperatives were reliable, and some weren't. Li was the most unreliable of all. Li successively approached Luo Ying and Bu Jing, asking if they could rent out their universe to the body-incorporating sect to host football-like competitions. Naturally, Luo Ying and the others refused. A group of people with Dharma appearances kicking planets around would cause normal people to have heart attacks from the shock. No one could bear something like that. Fortunately, most were more dependable. For instance, the Feiyan Commerce Association approached Mingzhong World and made a generous offer, hoping to reach a deep cooperation agreement and become its agent. Mingzhong politely replied that it would require further consideration. They understood the value of their world's technological products, which were bustling with immense allure for the worlds of 9 provinces, and knew there wasn't just the Feiyan Commerce Association who had their sights set on them. Furthermore, forming an agreement now when things like the tax rate and importing and exporting lists hadn't been sorted out properly was too hasty. Seeing Mingzhong's response, the Feiyan Commerce Association regretted their decision. Mingzhong's refusal of their proposal meant that they had to make a more attractive offer to get his attention. They had originally planned on getting a good deal, but it was now clear that they would have to participate in the bidding process sincerely. The Martial Emperor dynasty reached out to the Bu Jing and Bu Dong brothers. The Martial Emperor dynasty advocated martial arts and body cultivation. They would integrate martial arts and celestial Tao, complementing each other, with the celestial Tao as the primary aspect and martial arts as support, ultimately reaching Transcendence Tribulation stage using martial arts and breaking through the boundaries to ascend. In history, the Martial Emperor dynasty had given rise to 2 old ancestors who had reached the stage through their martial arts. This number wasn't very high. Among the Ascension history of the 9 great emperor dynasties, it ranked at the bottom. Moreover, in recent centuries, there hadn't been any top-notch body cultivators from the Martial Emperor dynasty either. 500 years ago, Zhang Li, Bai Hongtu, and Yu Yin overwhelmingly occupied the top 3 places among body cultivators. After these 3 reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage, Zhang Konggu and the 4 Seas Dragon King quickly advanced, becoming top-notch body cultivators. From the perspective of the Martial Emperor dynasty, this was a slap in the face. After getting slapped, the Martial Emperor dynasty was reflective and felt that perhaps they had taken the wrong path. At this juncture, Bu Jing, a pure martial arts genius, was especially important. Regarding the understanding of martial arts, Bu Jing surpassed everyone else. When the Martial Emperor fought with Bu Jing, their grand battle in the universe left the former increasingly in awe. He was a cultivator at the early stage of the fusion stage, only using his physical body and not utilizing mana, divine skills, or the destiny of the nation. Yet, he was able to fight on par with Bu Jing. This was Bu Jing's first combat with someone at the same stage. He wasn't familiar with how people at this stage fought. Initially, he was at a disadvantage, but as the exchange of blows increased, his experience rapidly accumulated and he adjusted to the rhythm, holding steady against the Martial Emperor. When Bu Jing realized that he was about to win, he promptly stopped the fight. "Why did you stop fighting?" The Martial Emperor was puzzled. Bu Jing shook his head. "Our battle was only to understand each other. Going this far should be enough." In reality, Bu Jing was unfamiliar with the kind of person the Martial Emperor was. He was worried that if the Martial Emperor were to lose, he would not want to cooperate with the Ring universe or even pull off some tricks during the cooperation. Instead of having this uncertainty, it would be better to not continue the fight. Being a cunning man, the Martial Emperor knew that Bu Jing was trying to avoid embarrassing him, and thus had a favorable impression of the martial artist. The Martial Emperor invited the brothers Bu Jing and Bu Dong to visit the Martial Emperor dynasty to discuss martial arts and the cooperation with the Ring universe in detail. The sect master of the beast-controlling sect found Little Qing and Sha Chao and proposed that he would like to go to Lingxi world for a visit. The White Marsh Emperor promptly followed up, stating that he would like to go back to Lingxi world to see the current situation. Clearly, the beast-controlling sect and the White Marsh Emperor dynasty wanted to cooperate with Lingxi world. Of course, Little Qing and Sha Chao welcomed them. These two factions had strong bonds with the demon race, and they could rely on the White Marsh Emperor, an elder figure who had helped them grow. The sect master of the beast-controlling sect and the White Marsh Emperor exchanged a glance, their fighting spirits high. Their contest was not over anything else, but over the placement of the space passage. The Brahma Heaven Tower could only maintain a limited number of space passages, it could only provide one for Lingxi world. The choice of the space passage had thus become paramount to the cooperation. Apart from these forces, there were also other major and minor factions who came forward, hoping to preach in their world, etc. Frequent exchanges were a good thing, so Zhongli did not stop them. He only had one requirement: all cooperations needed to be filed with the Human Emperor's imperial palace. Suddenly, Zhongli heard the mechanical voice of the system. Officially initiating the special mission, Road of the Human Emperor. Please become the Human Emperor, host. Mission reward: 1 copy of the Chaotic Classic. Start of the special mission. Road of the Human Emperor Part 1. The Human Emperor has sustained hidden injuries while resisting the heavenly demons, which are difficult to heal. He felt that the hidden injuries might relapse and become fatal. Because of this, he held a ceremony to select the Human Emperor. Please become a candidate for the Human Emperor post. Mission reward: a complete set of the Human Emperor's cultivation technique, 3 words technique. The special mission, Road of the Human Emperor Part 1, has been completed. Testing unable to understand. Releasing special mission, Road of the Human Emperor Part 2. Releasing special mission, Road of the Human Emperor Part 2. Releasing special mission, Road of the Human Emperor Part 3. Special mission, Road of the Human Emperor Part 33. The Human Emperor's hidden injuries relapse, leading to his sudden death. You didn't get to see him one last time. There is a long-standing enmity between the Martial Emperor from Martial Emperor dynasty and the sect hierarch from Qingtian sect. After the sudden death of the Human Emperor, their feud has completely exploded, resulting in a fierce fight. The Martial Emperor, by relying on the nation's destiny, temporarily became a Transcendence Tribulation stage and fought against the sect hierarch of Qingtian sect, who was at the Transcendence Tribulation stage 2, causing the worlds of 9 provinces to be drenched in blood. Please stop the Martial Emperor and the sect hierarch of Qingtian sect from fighting, and hold on till the arrival of Lu, the commander of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Mission reward: Divine Head Baptism, upgrading the cultivation base of the host to Transcendence Tribulation stage. Testing: detected that the host has become the Human Emperor, has completed the special mission, Road of the Human Emperor. Congratulations to the host for completing the special mission, Road of the Human Emperor, and becoming the 72nd Human Emperor. Would the host like to accept the final mission reward for the Road of the Human Emperor, the Chaotic Classic? Has the damned system finally broken down to this extent? Zhang Li was speechless. This was the most that the system had ever spoken, and it was also the quickest completion of tasks ever. Normally, due to the time discrepancy of the system, even when he completed the task, he had to wait foolishly for the system to release a new task according to its arranged time. Now, it was much better as it had delivered all 33 tasks at once. He did not even have to do them. The system skipped all and judged that he was the Human Emperor, completing the Road of the Human Emperor directly. It's surprisingly being human-like for once. Is it because this is a special mission and the release conditions are different from regular missions? Zhang Li casually guessed, feeling that he could never understand the logic of this silly system. He was, after all, a normal person and could not stoop down to the level of this silly system to consider from its perspective. Maybe I should give this system to Bai Hong. As one silly person to another, they should have a common language. Zhang Li pondered. Accept the final mission reward. A scroll of cultivation technique bearing an ethereal aura flutters into Zhang Li's hand, with the words, Chaotic Classic, conspicuously written on it. Chapter 439, Chaos Scripture. According to the system's world line, did I survive by desperately resisting the attacks of those two bastards until Commander Lu and the old Buddhist came to the rescue? Then did I become a Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivator by seeing the system's reward? Zhang Li looked bizarre. He did not rely on the system and directly enlightened the secret of the tribulation in the battle, succeeded in advancing to the Transcendence Tribulation stage, and killed two with one blow. Well, let's look at this, Book of Chaos. As long as it does not teach me how to cook chaos soup. Zhang Li did not expect much from this system reward. This, Book of Chaos, contains something valuable. Those who have form are born from the formless, thus heaven and earth were born from there. Chaos refers to the state where all things are not separated. It seems invisible, inaudible, intangible, therefore it is called change. Changes become one, and one produces myriad things. This is an ancient immortal scripture, according to which, after you have transcended the tribulation and flew upwards, you become an earth immortal, with the earth observing the heaven, you become a heavenly immortal, then, 3 flowers gathering at the top, and 5 chi converging to the origin, to become a golden immortal, and finally, you attain the fruit of the Tao, reaching the primordial ultimate rank. The primordial ultimate rank, also known as the primordial ultimate immortal, is the final step in the way of immortality. This is the realm of Taoist ancestors and Confucian sages. Is this reward so generous this time? Zhang Li was surprised. This feeling was like pulling a gold card on the first try in a lottery at Cave Virtual. However, to cultivate this cultivation technique, you need to rely on immortal power, which seems of little use. In general, the reward is a good thing, but it's not useful. Zhang Li understood the implication of the system giving this, Book of Chaos. According to the system's timeline, after I complete the Road of the Human Emperor and become a Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivator, the next step is to become an immortal. By then, the special mission, in search of the ladder to immortality, should also be almost completed. With hard work, becoming an immortal is within reach. I just don't know if the system has more missions to follow. Zhang Li was musing to himself, considering the situation of the immortal realm and the development plan arranged by the system. The moment of ascension to the immortal realm would be the moment of death. If the system has follow-up missions, then I can still survive. If this is the completion of the counterattack and the mission of the system is completed, then I should die. Moreover, the ladder to immortality connecting the 9 provinces and the immortal realm means that the 9 provinces are in grave danger. Wait, there seems to be another special mission called Mysteries of the Immortal Realm that I haven't activated yet. This mission should involve more than just finding the immortal realm. If it was merely about finding the immortal realm, the special mission, in search of the ladder to immortality, would suffice. Mysteries of the Immortal Realm is superfluous. The system has issued 3 special missions in total. Mysteries of the Immortal Realm, in search of the ladder to immortality, and the Road of the Human Emperor. Mysteries of the Immortal Realm failed at the initial stage and was not activated. I have been working on, in search of the ladder to immortality, and the Road of the Human Emperor was completed at the speed of light. Considering the situation 9,000 years ago, and examining the name of the mission, could Mysteries of the Immortal Realm be about unveiling the veil of the immortal realm? Perhaps this special mission is meant to pry open the mouth of long existence. Oh no, it's to make long existence tell the truth. Since the system intends for me to know the truth of the immortal realm, there should be a way for me to quietly sneak into the immortal realm to cultivate right. Otherwise, what's the point of rewarding this Book of Chaos? Zhang Li speculated uncertainly. As for the exact method, it could only be determined by the ordinary missions issued by the system subsequently. Damn, the current normal system missions still consider me to be at the nascent soul stage. Zhang Li's face darkened at the thought. How long would he have to wait? Zhang Li hoped that when the system issues ordinary missions, it could do so at the same speed as it did for the Road of the Human Emperor. Zhang Li scrolled through the 33 tasks of the Road of the Human Emperor and couldn't help but reminisce. For most of the tasks described by the system, Zhang Li had an impression. Only a small part could not be matched up. Zhang Li guessed that this was due to him not completing the mission according to the system's requirements, resulting in deviations in the timeline. These deviations were small. After all, the tasks of the Road of the Human Emperor were all tests by the old emperors, and the old emperors were unlikely to massively modify their tests just because of Zhang Li. At most, they'd modify a small part. Zhang Li sighed. Those were the good old days when I was carefree, frolicking with Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin all day without having to worry about too much. Now it seems to be the same now. Zhang Li wanted to lament about changes in life and how people inevitably grow up. Halfway through, he felt something was off. In the past, he frolicked with Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin, joking and laughing. Now, he was still frolicking with these two, joking and laughing. Nothing had changed. Let's take this opportunity to start the selection for the Human Emperor. Zhang Li whispered. It's not that he was considering retirement, but the selection of the Human Emperor would take a long time. If he started selecting a successor when he wanted to retire, he'd have to wait a long time before he could retire. It's better to choose the Human Emperor candidate in advance, so he can retire whenever he wants. After the meeting, Zhang Li stayed in the Imperial Palace. He wanted to start the selection of the Human Emperor, so he came directly to the earth veins. The earth veins seemed to have grown thicker. Zhang Li was sure he was not misinterpreting. The earth veins had changed, as if they had grown. The spiritual energy around the earth veins was also more abundant than before. Cultivators who came here could enter the state of forgetting oneself in the unity of heaven and man more easily. Is it because of the deals with the 6 worlds? The first reason that came to Zhang Li's mind was this, and the more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. The immortal elder once said that the more worlds the immortal realm rules, the stronger the immortal realm. The strength of the immortal realm the immortal elder spoke of is likely the heavenly Tao. Is the strength or weakness of the heavenly Tao related to the number of worlds? According to this logic, aren't the 9 provinces earth veins the heavenly Tao? No, they should be the embryonic form of the heavenly Tao. The current earth veins are too weak to reach the level of the heavenly Tao. Are the degenerate immortals afraid of the collective will of sentient beings on the verge of death? Are they afraid of the earth veins? Zhang Li figured out some things. He also realized that the appearance of the earth veins will inevitably lead 9 provinces and the immortal realm to confront each other. The immortal realm fears the earth veins and will surely find ways to destroy them. I just don't know why, after all this time, the immortal realm has not sent people to destroy the earth veins of 9 provinces. Doesn't missionary Du Yi know that his mission has failed? Zhang Li had the idea of contacting missionary Du Yi to kindly tell him that his plot had been foiled and ask him to come to 9 provinces again. Unfortunately, he couldn't make contact. Zhang Li paid homage to the statues of the past human emperors. With the previous human emperors as my witness, I, the 72nd human emperor, Zhang Li, will launch the selection for the human emperor, selecting the 73rd human emperor. Then he squatted down, reached into the earth veins, which felt cool and comfortable. Mana flowed into the earth veins, awakening it from its 500-year silence and once again fulfilling its purpose. Zhang Li felt as if he were connected to the earth veins. Zhang Li felt as if he were a cluster of spiritual energy, extending infinitely, the 9 provinces mainland, the starry sky, other worlds. The earth veins continually calculated and tested, judging morality and talent, and finally decided on the candidate for the human emperor. And the person chosen by the earth veins, had a mark quietly appearing on their forehead. Chapter 440, Human Emperor Candidate. The fact that some individuals have become candidates for the human emperor doesn't surprise me. As Zhang Li reached out to the 9 provinces' earth veins, he could feel every blade of grass and every tree of the 9 provinces. Qin Luan, Yuan Wuxing, 7 kills Taoist Li Fugi, Li Nianer, Ji Kongkong, Yu Yushan, Wu Ji. I did say that Qin Luan and Yuan Wuxing had the potential to become human emperor candidates. Seems I wasn't wrong. Zhang Li felt a certain connection with this master-disciple duo, often meeting them. Zhang Li saw Qin Luan, Yuan Wuxing, Song Ying, Little White Fox, and Aguna gaining fortunate occurrences in a certain secret realm, their luck was as good as always. How did Li Fugi end up with two people by his side, a little princess from the South Jiao Dragon tribe and a little princess from the Mermaid tribe? Zhang Li sensed the situation around Li Fugi and found it amusing. This little princess of the South Jiao Dragon tribe truly is tenacious. Li Nianer, the daughter of Li affiliate of Body Incorporating sect, it's normal for her to become a human emperor candidate. This Ji Kongkong, Zhang Li shook his head with a laugh. He saw Ji Kongkong burst into a joyous smile upon realizing she had become a human emperor candidate, showing no signs of her previous disillusionment with worldly affairs. Such a youthful pretender. Yu Yushan, as I recall, is Bai Hongtu's disciple, a Taoist affiliate. Since Bai Hongtu adopted a laissez-faire approach to her education, Yu Yushan hasn't been influenced by him, her thinking should still be normal. Looking at her surroundings, she's still a live streamer in the Mingzhong world. Zhang Li saw that Yu Yushan was interacting with her viewers, carrying on Bai Hongtu's style of being talkative. Countless people were gifting her items. Since the Mingzhong world formally announced the existence of the 9 provinces world and told people about the concept of cultivating to immortality, the pursuit of cultivation instantly became a craze in the Mingzhong continent, one might even call it madness. The Mingzhong world's technology is advanced, and the standard of material life is absurdly high. The people of the Mingzhong world, after experiencing everything that can be experienced, seek freshness and thrill. Cultivation perfectly fits these criteria. Mingzhong realized that despite preparing quite a lot for the announcement of the 9 provinces world, he had still underestimated people's madness. Fortunately, Yu Yushan was there, advocating for a rational approach to cultivation, thereby just barely halting this craze. Before the existence of the 9 provinces continent was announced, Yu Yushan was merely a somewhat famous live streamer. After the 9 provinces continent was announced, because Yu Yushan was backed by the Mingzhong government, looked like a fairy and was a cultivator with extraordinarily high talent, she became the most popular live streamer due to people's pursuit, without any doubt. Does Wu Ji, this kid, no longer want to manage the Buddhist sect, and seeks to become the human emperor instead? Zhang Li was surprised. They had first met on the flying boat. When Wu Ji saw him then, his eyes were filled with admiration. Back then, Zhang Li already knew that the young Buddhist disciple aspired to become human emperor. Later when Wu Ji became the head of the Buddhist sect, upon their second meeting, he had concealed the admiration in his eyes deep within. Zhang Li thought he had decided to manage the Buddhist sect and let go of the ambition to become human emperor. However, this kid still wanted to become human emperor. Zhang Li noticed that Mount Sumeru was in chaos, and the stupa of Brahma and the Arhat Bodhisattvas were all advising Wu Ji not to become human emperor as the Buddhist sect couldn't be without him. After 10 years of coexistence, bowled over by Wu Ji's Buddha nature, everyone in the Buddhist sect had recognized him as the Buddhist leader. Now, if the Buddhist leader wanted to become human emperor, what was the Buddhist sect to do? Even Wu Ji himself felt helpless. He didn't have confidence in becoming human emperor himself, yet everyone behaved as if he had already ascended to the throne. Why didn't Wang Bian, the Confucian master, become a candidate for human emperor? Zhang Li remembered that he and Wang Bian had originally met on the flying boat too. Master, I did not become a candidate for human emperor. Wang Bian felt dejected, having been hit hard. The imprint on his forehead flickered a moment and then extinguished. This implied that he was only one step away from becoming a human emperor candidate. Wang Bian couldn't wrap his head around it. In terms of talent, anyone who could become a Confucian master was at the apex. In breadth of heart, he loved the 9 provinces wholeheartedly and treated humans and demons impartially, possessing a conviction in educating all creatures. Dong Zhang sighed. Seeing Wang Bian reminded him of himself 500 years ago. 500 years ago, he was likewise one step away from becoming a human emperor candidate. Dong Zhang comforted Wang Bian by patting his head, speaking in a deep voice, "It's not your problem, but the issue of the whole Confucian sect." "What do you mean?" Wang Bian was surprised. "Do you know how many people from Confucian sect in history have been selected as human emperor candidates?" Wang Bian shook his head blankly. Although he knew from the annals of the 72 human emperors, no one from the Confucian sect had ever made it, he'd never checked to see who exactly had been in contention for the position in the past. None. What? Wang Bian thought he had misheard. Dong Zhang confirmed, none. Not one person from Confucian sect has been selected as a human emperor candidate. 500 years ago, when Dong Zhang learned he had not been chosen as a human emperor candidate, he had been downcast for quite some time. No one could explain why he hadn't been selected as a candidate for human emperor. In order to find the answer, he had flipped through old books, sought patterns and eventually found the problem in the detail of the nearly 1,000 emperor candidates, which had been overlooked by everyone else. The reason was the Confucian sect itself. Although our Confucian sect always abides by Confucian saints' words, the foundation comes from our ancestor Dong Zhongshu. When ancestor Dong Zhongshu founded the Confucian sect, he wanted it to become the state religion of the great Han dynasty, and thus proposed that the Confucian sect was a school meant to assist the king. His teachings are full of hints pointing out this fact. Our Confucian sect pursues the education of all creatures, and you have served as the state preceptor, but have you ever wondered why you aspire to be the state preceptor rather than the king? Wang Bian was stunned. Yes, Confucian disciples can't become leaders. That's why I was not chosen by the earth veins, and the same rule applies to you. So, that's the reason. Zhang Li noticed the conversation between the master and disciple, Dong Zhongshu. Bai Hongtu had considered that Dong Zhongshu was not selected because he was a hypocrite who didn't have the ambition to help the common people. However, he was unaware of the real reason. Zhang Li thought he'd find an opportunity to correct Bai Hongtu's misunderstanding. Indeed, since establishing connection with other worlds, people from those worlds could also become human emperor candidates. Zhang Li sensed that there were quite a few people from other worlds among the human emperor candidates. Both Bu Jing and Bu Dong are too old and did not meet to the cultivation level requirement respectively. How regretful. Yu Feng, this lad is managing rather well. He didn't lose his steadiness. It's impressive for someone who has died tens of thousands of times. Zhang Li saw that upon realizing he had become a human emperor candidate, Yu Feng gave a calm smile, then continued being affectionate with his elder sister practitioner, Wu Lian. Zhao Qing also became a candidate for the human emperor, worthy of someone I taught, her heart is with the people. Sha Chao is also a candidate. Speaking of Zhao Qing, Zhang Li suddenly remembered that in the time it took for Zhao Qing to transform from a small green worm into a green dragon, only 1 year had passed. Even though Zhao Qing appeared mature and possessed maturity of mind, her actual age was just over 1 year. A 1-year-old at the body integration realm. No Luo Ying or Luo Zhu siblings. Oh right, they haven't reached the nascent soul stage yet. One prerequisite for becoming a human emperor candidate is that one's cultivation must reach the nascent soul stage. It's alright if they have not reached it now. Once they reach the nascent soul stage, the earth veins will automatically add the siblings onto the list of human emperor candidates. Zhang Li still had high hopes for these 2 siblings.